A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
This I believe. Theodore Benfey is a promising young chemist who, at the age of 11, was expelled from his native Germany for the high crime of having Jewish ancestors. He was educated in England and came to this country in 1947 to do postdoctoral work at Columbia University. At the age of 23, he was appointed to his present position of assistant professor of chemistry at Haverford College. This is Theodore Benfey's creed.
In the past, I used to say that religion was like science, that religion dealt with knowledge that had to be found and checked in ways not too dissimilar from the ways in which the sciences develop. Now I would rather say that science is like religion, that we have pictured science falsely as almost an infallible path to knowledge, following definite rules, whereas in fact the great advances in both science and religion have been made by men and women who had sufficient powers of concentration and sufficient humility to open themselves completely to whatever was given to them in experience, and to live with what was given, to enter into it until they sensed truths relating hitherto separate data of experience. Profound humility is required because the truths that may be sensed are almost invariably in fundamental opposition to many of the beliefs held by the person at the time. In the field of science, Galileo, Newton, Einstein, Marie Curie, Harvey, Darwin are people of this stature. In the field of religion, the saints and prophets of the higher religions, and supremely, Jesus of Nazareth. To me, Jesus was the supreme mystic, the supreme scientist, for he opened himself completely to truth. No shred of fear or personal ambition finally clouded his sight, so that, in Tillich's phrase, he made himself transparent to the forces of truth, to God, to reality, so that in him I can see reality incarnate, reality supremely revealed in a human person. And the glory of his revelation is that at bottom there is love, a love whose full nature is only seldom glimpsed. When we fall in love, when we hear of or experience a person's self-sacrifice for the sake of a friend, when we enter into the joy of a child. I believe, though I seldom live up to it, that I live truly when I do not fear, that I find both reality and joy in losing myself in love. If love is reality, then it is love which binds me to other people and to God. Consequently, I am not the isolated individual the eye suggests, and spiritual growth is the growing awareness of the fact that I cannot plan my destiny, but that instead I must progressively accept my membership within the community, or as Whitehead would put it, the organism of men and God, whose service is perfect freedom. It is difficult for me, in the rush of my daily existence, to learn how to lose myself in love. Our religious heritage has cramped the emotions, and we must, I believe, rediscover the spiritual significance of beauty, of the arts, of drama, of the dance, of the giving of man and woman to each other in love, as paths to the supreme giving of the self to God. I have come to my present beliefs largely through the many men, women, and children who have made love a reality for me, and through the writings and lives of the pioneers in science and in religion. As a scientist who claims an awareness of spiritual reality, the relation between scientific and religious knowledge remains an ever-pressing problem, and the right use of science presents itself as a most urgent necessity of our time.
That was Theodore Benfey, who teaches chemistry at Haverford College in Pennsylvania. He is president of the Society for Social Responsibility in Science.
First on the scene, crime photographer.
Got it. Look for it in the Morning Express.
Columbia brings you another adventure of Casey, Crime Photographer, written by Charles Holden and played by Doc Cotsworth. Casey H. Cameraman of the Morning Express covers the crime news of a great city. His adventure for tonight, Truth or a Tooth. The city room of the Morning Express. Downstairs, the big presses are beginning to roll. Over in one corner, Henry Brower, one of the older rewrite men, sits at his desk, staring out of the window into the night. He turns as Casey, ace photographer of the Express, and reporter Ann Williams enter the room.
Hi, Ann.
Hello,
Casey.
Henry.
Hi, Henry. Well, say, what's the matter with you? Looks like you'd lost your last friend.
Yeah.
You look sick, pal.
Oh, no, I'm okay.
Now, what's the matter, Henry?
Oh, I don't know. I got the darndest feeling. It's kind of a fear, Ann. It's like I'm going to be dying all of a sudden.
Die?
Huh?
Oh, come on. You're healthier than a master sergeant. What's eating you, huh?
Oh, I feel all right. It's not that. It's just... Do you ever feel that your number was up, Casey?
Huh?
You're about to check out?
Oh, now look here, pal. Talk sense. Hey, anybody make any threats on your life?
No.
Finances in good shape?
Well, no worse than usual. Family my size, my salary.
Yeah. Oh, I never did see how you could keep up. It's not as Hey, look, could you use $50 till payday?
Oh. No, Casey, thanks. See, you kid this fellow, but I'm all right. Shucks, I'm sorry I cried all over you. Forget it, will you?
That's okay. Now, tell me, this funny fear you spoke of, it's got you. Centers around some special person, huh? Am I right?
Yeah.
Well, come on, Henry. You better tell us. It might help. Who is it?
Well, it's nothing I can put my finger on, Ann. It's a fellow I met 3 months ago. He gives me the willies. I wake up in a cold sweat and find out I've been dreaming about him.
Hmm?
Yeah. He's been nice enough to me, too. He saved me a big dental bill, for one thing.
Saved your dental bill, how?
Yeah. Well, he did the work on me himself. He's kind of a research scientist, I guess.
What's his name?
Renat.
Renat, huh?
Yeah. He's got a country home out on River Road.
He's not an accredited dentist, though, is he?
Oh, no. He may have been once, but I don't know. He's developing some new kind of metal for fillings. He offered to do all my dental work free just to try it out.
You should never have let him monkey with your teeth. Never let anybody but a real dentist do that.
I know, Casey, but... Well, I had a couple of teeth bothering me, and when he offered to fix them up for nothing, I couldn't resist it. Well, he kind of hypnotized me, I guess. He gives me the willies, I tell you.
Henry, do you mind if I look at your teeth?
No, go ahead.
Well, those just look like ordinary silver fillings. Not very skillfully put in at that, Henry. You know, this guy's got no right to go around doing dental work without a certificate. What's his name again?
George Renat.
How'd you meet him, anyhow?
Well, my oldest boy, Rusty, works on a truck and delivers those big steel cylinders of bottled gas. You know the kind the dentists use?
Laughing gas.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, anyway, Rusty took some out to Renat, and Renat asked him if he knew anyone who wanted to have some free dental work done.
Funny thing to ask.
Well, yeah, they did seem a little screwy, but I had these teeth bothering me, and I was so hard up. Well, Renat seemed all right and said he just wanted a chance to try out his new type of filling. And said not to worry, that he knew dentistry.
I'd like to talk to that phony.
Oh, no, Casey, don't get so upset. There's nothing to do about it now. It's all over. And, well, besides, he made me promise not to tell anyone.
Well, no wonder. There are laws about unlicensed guys doing things like that. He could get plenty.
Now, this fear of Renat you got hanging over you, how do you explain that, huh?
Oh, that's just me. Nerves, I guess. I've had a lot on my mind. Bills and... You know.
Yeah. Well, look, why don't you sort of lay low for a day or two until you feel more like yourself. Stick around the office as much as you can, and if you do go out, don't go alone.
Hey, what's in the back of your mind, Casey?
Having. As long as you feel low, just keep among friends, okay?
Well, all right. You know, I feel a little better already.
Good.
Yeah, well, I'll see you later.
Yeah, so long, Henry.
Bye, Henry.
So long.
Bye.
Take care of yourself. He is really tied up in bow knots, isn't he?
Say so, Annie, you know something? Just twice in my life, I've had guys talk to me like that. And inside of a month, both those guys were dead.
Dead?
Yes, sir. Annie, the human mind is a very funny thing. Another thing, this friend of Henry's, guys that aren't dentists, don't just go around denting or whatever you call it just for the fun of it. We've got a motive. Annie, I smell something very screwy here. Hello, Casey speaking.
Hello, Casey. Logan.
Well, Logan. What's the good word from your homicide department today?
Now, listen, you know a guy named Henry Brower who works there at the Express?
What's happened? Did he disappear?
Yeah.
Jumping G. Hawk.
His wife called headquarters here. He didn't come home all last night.
Yeah?
We've had an alert on him for over an hour. Hey, how'd you know he disappeared?
Well, he told me last night he had a feeling he was going to...
Oh, that's how it is, huh? Well, the bum took a powder. He walked
No,
out.
Logan, no, he didn't.
Don't tell me. Brower's got $3,000 in outstanding bills around
That
town.
doesn't make any
He
difference.
did a fade trying to duck payments, that's all.
You're nuts, Logan. He's the right guy.
Right guys don't do things like that,
But I
Casey.
tell you, Henry's got a wife and 4 kids.
Well, does that make it any better? Oh, he's done a fade, I tell you.
Sure, somebody didn't do him in.
Well, we'll check on that, but nobody had a motive. He was just an unimportant little guy. I say he got sick of it all, and that's how I'm going to play it. Okay, Casey, if you hear anything, get in touch with me, will you?
Yeah. Logan, I will. Okay.
We'll catch up with him. Bye.
Right. So the little guy's premonition was right at that.
Wow. Hello, you two.
Hi, Ethelbert.
Right.
What brings you two here in the glare of the noonday sun, huh?
Why, Ethelbert. You know Casey can't think straight anywhere but here at the Blue Note. And besides, it's nice and cool.
You want something? You don't, do you, this hour of the day?
No, I don't. Maybe a beer. Yeah, give me a beer.
You can fix me an orange juice, Ethelbert, if that won't cost you your professional standing.
It's not a bad joke, Miss Williams. Not bad.
Why, thank you.
Say, speaking of jokes, did you hear that new radio comic last night?
Oh, no.
I almost died laughing. All through his program, he kept saying, so-and-so spelled backwards is so-and-so. Like once he said, we will now hear from our all-girl orchestra. Girls, make with the music. And remember, folks, music spelled backwards is C-I-S-U-M. Kiss him. You get it, Casey?
Do I get it? Good. Corn spelled backwards is Narok, I guess. Well, now, how about my beer?
Okay. Here's your beer. What's the trouble, pal?
He is thinking, Ethelbert, about the process of getting teeth filled.
What's the matter, Casey? You got a toothache?
No, I got a headache, Ethelbert. Very good friend of mine, Henry Brower, has disappeared.
Oh, I know, Henry. You say he disappeared?
Sure has.
Yeah.
Well, how?
We don't know. Just dropped out of sight, that's all.
And we've got next to nothing to go on.
Nothing but my hunch that a quack that filled his teeth may have got something to do with this case.
A dentist?
Well, he isn't a dentist, Ethelbert. That's just it. He's some kind of a tin-horn scientist. Maybe a nut, maybe he's a crook, maybe both. I don't know. He did this dental work for Henry for free.
Who is this amateur tooth carpenter? What's his name?
A fellow named Renat. Lives out on the River Road.
Why don't you go out and see him, Casey?
That is definitely my plan, pal. I've got to do a little groundwork first.
Police headquarters?
Yeah, I suppose I had to look over their files. I don't know quite where to start, though. Logan has decided that Henry simply took a powder and scrammed it. So, you know Logan. When his mind gets made up, it's like a sealed tomb.
Why does Logan always have to act like such a goof?
Maybe he'll be different this time. Remember, folks, goof spelled backwards is food.
Oh, but for Pete's sake, can that silly Hey, wait a minute.
What's the matter?
Annie. I got it. Look, I got it.
You got what?
Well, I've got something to start on anyway. It really took that crazy gag to start my brain working. Goof spelled backwards is spook. Ethelbert, what time is it?
Just noon.
Noon, eh?
Yeah, but remember, folks, noon spelled backwards is... Huh? N-O-O-N.
Yeah, Casey, that's the Tanner case you're thinking of. Colorado in 1931.
1931, yep, that's it. I remember it well, Logan. This guy Tanner was a cattleman. He was robbed, and then he was trampled to death by his own herd cattle. Right?
Yep. And there was never any solution to the robbery.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Well, what's that got to do with Henry Brower's disappearance?
Well, don't look now, but I got one of my hunches, Logan. Two cases tie up beautifully.
Oh, Casey, I think you're nuts. You and your hunches. Henry Brower ran away, I tell you. He's trying to beat his creditors.
Logan, I tell you, Henry wouldn't do a thing like that. All right, now I'm going to find him. That guy is in trouble. I bet he could use a bit of help right now. Here, Fay. Take the candle.
Where is he, Renat? I don't see him.
In the corner of the cellar there. Come on. Well, Mr. Brower, how do you feel? Funny, but with that gag on your puss, I don't understand a word you say. Hey, don't try to struggle. You're tied up pretty well, you know.
What do you do if he dies, George? He doesn't look so good.
So much the better. Now, take that gag out of his mouth.
What are you going to do?
Ask him a few questions. Come on, take it off.
Okay. There.
Water.
Shut up, you.
What are you going to do to me?
Well, sucker, tomorrow is your last day.
You can't do that. I never did anything to you, please, Renat. I've got a wife and 4 kids. You can't...
Shut up, I say.
Give me just a little water.
I'll get him some, Fay. There's a glass by the laundry tub.
Okay.
Water, please.
You know what the police are saying about you, Henry?
No, what?
Well, they say that you disappeared because you owe so many bills.
Here's the water.
Now, Henry, I'll hold it for you right at your lips.
Please.
But before you drink, I've got one little question I want answered. Did you ever tell anyone about my fixing your teeth for you?
No.
Not even that son of yours, Rusty?
I did what you said. He never knew I came out here after that first time.
And nobody knows, huh?
Nobody. Please give me some water. Please give me... Yes, please.
I'll learn what I want to know, Fay. I'll put the gag back.
Oh, no.
Don't worry, sucker. Tomorrow it'll be all over. Come on, Kay.
George, do you think he did tell anyone?
No, I'm sure he didn't. I've had that guy scared to death ever since he first came out here.
Listen, darling, nothing can go wrong, can it?
Don't worry, ain't a chance, babe, because this time I'm taking no chances at all.
Oh, I hate the suspense. But I suppose this job will put us on easy street for the rest of our lives, huh?
That's right, baby. For the rest of our lives.
Gee, Mr. Casey, do you suppose the cops are right? Do you think Zed just ran away?
No, Rusty, I don't. I think somebody's doing him dirt, and that's why I came to you. You're willing to string along with me, are you?
Sure, Mr. Casey. Gee, I'll do anything to find Dad.
Good. Well, I got to start somewhere, Rusty. Your dad seemed to have a strange sort of fear of this fellow Renat.
Why, he hardly knew him. Just that once when he went out there with me. And besides, why would he want to hurt my dad?
It's a funny world, Rusty. Sometimes we don't know. All right, now we got to work fast. You got it straight, what I want you to do?
I can't go wrong. The nitrous oxide tanks have a blue label marked N2O.
Uh-huh.
The air tanks always have just a green label.
Good kid. And I can depend on you?
I'll deliver them out there in an hour. There we are, Mr. Renat. There's your regular replacement on the bottled gas. I'm a little ahead of schedule, but I can't always get out here in the country.
That's all right. I use that gas in my experiments almost daily. Hey, by the way, is your father turned up yet?
No, we haven't heard a thing from him.
Oh, that's terrible. Well, he's probably just up on a log somewhere, huh? I'm sure it'll work out all right.
Yeah, Mr. Renat. I think maybe it will.
Okay, Annie. That's Renat's house right over there. Now, look, you just stay right in the car. Don't make a sound. Don't get upset or anything like that.
Casey, if your hunch is right, Renat's a dangerous man. I wish you wouldn't go in there alone.
Never mind. I can take care of myself. Look, if I don't come out in half an hour, beat it to the nearest farmhouse and telephone Logan right away.
Will you let me go with you?
No, I gotta play this alone, Annie. Now, don't you worry. I'll be careful.
Well, see that you do. Good luck.
Okay, honey.
Yes?
Does Mr. Renat live here?
Who are you?
I'm a friend of Henry Brower. He sent me out here.
You've been talking to him?
Yeah, you see, miss, I got a toothache, something awful. He told me that Mr. Renat might kind of fix me up.
Just a minute, please. Wait right out there in the porch, will you?
Yeah, okay.
George.
Yeah, baby? Who
Some
is it?
guy. You know, he says that he knows Henry Brower, and Henry sent him here.
Henry sent him? Ah, you're crazy.
I tell you, he said Henry Brower sent him.
Huh. Does he look like a copper?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, George, don't let anything happen.
Don't worry. Nothing's going to happen. Yeah, he might be a plant from the police. I'd better see him.
Be careful, George. Please be careful.
Don't worry. By the way, what do you want?
He says that Henry told him that he could get a tooth fixed out here.
Oh, he did, huh?
Yeah.
Let me doing his work. I'll make him pay for that. Okay, Faye. There's only one way to play it. Get this guy in here. I'll promise to fix his tooth, give him gas, and I'll knock him off.
You have to?
We can't lose a nerve now.
Oh, but darling.
Get him in here, I say.
Okay. Won't you come in?
Yeah, thanks. Mr. Renat, I got a little toothache here. I was wondering if you could fix me up.
Why don't you go to a dentist?
Well, they're not open at night.
Oh.
Things started acting up, and I suddenly thought of you.
Yeah?
Yeah, Henry Brower told me about you.
But I don't do that sort of thing.
Don't kid me now. I've heard of the black market even in dentistry, eh, Renat?
I'm not a dentist, I tell you.
Oh, I know you're not a licensed one, but you could help me out. I got a really terrible toothache here. Awful.
Well, all right, Mr.
Casey.
Oh, Mr. Casey. Come on into my lab. Maybe I can fix that tooth for you.
Right this way, please.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Now, if you'll just sit in the chair there, huh?
Oh, just a plain chair, huh?
Yeah, that's right. I told you I wasn't a dentist. You'll have to put up with what I have. Now, tell me, where's the tooth that hurts?
Gee, I don't really know exactly. It's sort of a general ache all down those sides.
Don't worry, I'll find it. There it is.
That hurts.
Afraid I'll have to give you gas.
Huh? Does that hurt?
No, not in the least. Here, just adjust this over your nose.
Like this?
Yeah. Fine. Turn it on, Faye. Now breathe deeply, Mr. Casey. In just a few moments, you won't be able to remember a thing. He's a phony, all right. He hasn't Hasn't got a cavity in his head. His teeth are perfect.
Oh, I thought so. Is he unconscious?
He ought to be. I've given him enough for 10 men. You know, I think he's wise to it.
Oh, George, I knew this was risky. We should never have tried it again. We got away with it in Colorado, but, well, because you picked a nobody for the fall guy. But it isn't working out this time.
Don't worry. This Casey is probably a friend of Henry Brower who got suspicious of me when Henry disappeared. Probably just came out to investigate. Well, we'll soon fix that. We'll just get rid of Mr. Casey.
But how?
I think a little of that hypodermic of my own special formula there will do it. Yeah, there's one ready in the cabinet.
But you don't want 2 bodies to be found here after the fire.
Oh, brother, it's going to work out all right, Fay. We'll get rid of this slug tonight. Burn the house down tomorrow. We'll find Mr. Brower's body, whose dental work I fixed to exactly match my own. They'll identify him as me. You collect my insurance and meet me inside of 6 months in Havana. Everything just as we planned.
I only hope we get away with it, that's all.
We will. Don't worry. Now, give him some more gas.
Aren't you afraid you'll smother me?
Why? What? You can't do that.
No, you don't, you
George, okay, you drug him.
Oh, my arm. There. Guess that'll teach you, Mr. Tanner.
Tanner?
Oh, you're breaking my arm. You don't deny you're Tanner? Colorado, 1931. No. You're crazy. Ow. All right. I'm Tanner. Let me go. All right, now, Tanner, where's Henry?
He's I'll talk. He's in the cellar.
Is he alive?
Yeah, we haven't hurt him.
He's alive.
He better be. Pick her up, you two. Come on, Reed. Logan.
Oh, Casey, you all right?
Oh, sure, Annie. I'm all right, sure.
When you went inside, I couldn't wait half an hour. I just drove up to the next farmhouse and called Logan.
Yeah, I got here as fast as I could. Well, Logan, my hunch was right.
I know. We followed you in. We were right outside the lab door.
Are you hurt?
Every word. Believe me, it'll be used against you.
We're gone, as Fay. You'd better not talk.
That's more like it. All right, keep him covered, Logan. I'm going down to get Henry.
Oh, Casey. It's great to return to the land of the living.
Yeah, from which Renat and Fay will soon be departing. Ethelbert, my fine feathered friend, the same, please.
And the drinks are still on me tonight.
You know, Henry is feeling much better.
I noticed that.
Yeah, oh, yes.
Coming up.
Thank
You know, Casey, I still don't see how you pinned this whole thing on Renat. How did you?
Well, Ethelbert, I tell you, I was naturally suspicious of a non-dentist doing all that fancy dental work. You know, there's only one sure way to check on the identity, if you'll pardon the expression, Henry, of a well-burned corpse.
Yeah, I nearly was just that, too.
Yeah.
Oh,
what
brother.
this guy was doing was building himself a case, you see. He made over Henry's dental work to match his own. You see, Tanner tried that trick once before in Colorado, and he got away with it. He dressed some poor guy in his clothes, killed him, and then made it look as though he himself had been trampled to death in a stampede.
Then he studied dentistry, huh? But, Casey, when you was in the lab there taking that gas, what'd you do? Hold your breath?
Rusty worked that one out. He switched labels on the gas he delivered. I just pretended to be unconscious, Ethelbert. You know me. I was never unconscious. I was breathing plain air all the time. The only way I could think of to get a confession out of him.
Oh, but how'd you ever connect this bloke up with that case in Colorado? How'd you know he was Tanner?
Well, this really is going to kill me to admit it, Ethelbert, but it was when you were doing all that backward talk, you remember? And remember, folks, Renat spelt backwards is...
P-A-N-N-E-R. Well, how do you like that? Tanner. Tanner? Yeah, Tanner. Well, I'll be doggone.
You've been listening to Crime Photographer, written by Charles Holden and based on the fictional character of Flash Gun Casey, created by George Harmon Cox. Casey is played by Stotts Cotsworth and Anne by Miss Leslie Woods. Original music composed and conducted by Archie Blyer. and the Blue Note pianist is Herman Chittison. Crime Photographer is produced by John Dietz and directed tonight by Rocco Tito. Crime Photographer will be heard again next Monday at this same time, after which it will return to the air Thursday, August 8th at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time under commercial sponsorship. This is Bob Hite inviting you to join us again next Monday at the same time for another fast-moving adventure with Casey, Crime Photographer. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
This I believe. Dr. Theodore Hubner, Director of Foreign Languages in the schools of the City of New York, is himself a product of the city's schools and colleges. He reached his present position by way of both teaching and administrative posts, and has written textbooks in French, Italian, and Spanish along the way. His work as consultant for the State Department and invitations from foreign governments have taken him to Germany, France, Italy, and Israel. Here is Dr. Theodore Hubner's creed.
Early in my youth, I was distressed by the amount of suffering which seemed to come to good and bad alike. Socrates assured me that no evil could befall the good man, but Shakespeare commented dryly, there was never yet philosopher that could endure the toothache patiently. Indeed, I soon found that it was the lesser annoyances of life which upset me more than the greater tragedies which could be rationalized. Philosophers differ as to nature's attitude toward man, some considering it friendly, some indifferent, and some hostile. I believe it is favorable. Nevertheless, in the end, we are obliged to submit to the acts of God as best we can. We may not understand them, we may question them, but like Job, if we are wise, we will recognize our own insignificance in the vast scheme of things. If, as Spinoza expressed it, we can see events sub specie aeternitatis, that is, neath the guise of eternity, a toothache will not seem such a colossal disaster. Since this is, as I believe, an orderly and a moral universe, we are penalized no matter how we regret them for our derelictions. Learning from experience, we should be able to reduce our mistakes as we grow older. In any case, suffering should strengthen our character. It unquestionably forms it. Unfortunately, excessive suffering may deform it. However, whom the Lord loveth he chasteneth. One who has not suffered, I believe, is an incomplete character. The chastening process should lead to self-control. Menander said, the unchastened man is not disciplined. Nothing, in my opinion, is more conducive to wholesome living than self-discipline. It is fashionable nowadays to condemn restraint as causing frustration. Sacrifice and self-denial are definitely not the ideals of this age. Hence, the world is full of restless and unhappy people who are dissatisfied with themselves and with others. A sympathetic attitude and a readiness to cooperate will disarm all but the most aggressive opponent, I have found. We all act more on the basis of emotion than reason. Often the behavior of our fellows seems stupid or inconsiderate. However, since we are all human and subject to moods, it is silly to become embittered over the words and actions of most men. Essentially, there are two attitudes one can take toward the follies of mankind. One can laugh at them or weep over them. Personally, I believe there are occasions for laughter and occasions for tears. All of us are confronted almost daily by petty annoyances, thoughtless slights, discourteous remarks, disappointing setbacks. Many are entirely unintentional. The wholesome thing to do is to laugh them off. There is no better answer to a scowl than a smile, a kind word to a rude one, a generous action to a mean one. I'm always guided by the thought, let me try to be a gentleman, even if the other fellow isn't one. However, there are blows and disasters which cannot be laughed off. When they strike us, it is time, if not for tears, at least for sober reflection. In committing our problem to a higher power, we will gather strength and comfort and will be able to rise above the difficult situation. Laugh at the petty annoyances of life, pray over the serious ones. That is my rule. Humor and religion, I believe, are the most effective solvents for all our worries.
That was Dr. Theodore Huebner, Director of Foreign Languages in the New York City schools.
Crime does not pay.
What do you think, Faithful?
Think? About what?
About me going to Chicago and leaving Jimmy here.
Yeah, he's old enough to take care of himself.
Is he? The night don't look like it for my money.
So what? It ain't no skin off in your nose.
Me and Jimmy grew up together. What I done, he done. We've been through a lot together.
Well, you ain't married to the dumb jerk.
Look, when two guys have been friends...
look, Rick, you go to Chicago, you get big. Real big. Things being the way they are out there. So you come back. So you do big things for Jimmy here, if that's what you want.
Yeah, and while I'm away...
So he'll have to protect himself.
That's it. Protection. I can fix that for him. And any mug that moves in on Jimmy Bassett is gonna be in for a rough time.
In the interest of good citizenship and law enforcement, we present Crime Does Not Pay, based on the famous Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer series of short subjects. In just a moment, you will hear Thick as Thieves, starring Everett Sloan. Now, Crime Does Not Pay, starring Everett Sloan as Ricky Carpenter in Thick as Thieves. It began, of course, in a slum. Ricky Carpenter and Jimmy Bassett were born there, grew up there. On the way between birth and manhood, Ricky learned many things. Jimmy just a few. By the time young manhood arrived, Rick was Jimmy's hero, his pal, his habit. To Rick, Jimmy was a habit, period. But neither of them thought about it that way. They thought of themselves as friends, inseparable, completely necessary to each other, no matter what the job was that had to be done. Then, for jobs needing 3 operators, Faithful Hill made it a trio.
You sure you know this mark, Jimmy?
Like a brother, Rick. Almost like I know you.
He's doing you minute, ain't he?
Yeah.
Rick?
Yeah?
Can I use a gun tonight? Just once, can I?
Not tonight.
I won't miss him. Nobody can miss him. Not at this range.
No, you finger him. That's your job. Faithful will drive. I'll use the piece, period.
Okay. I only asked.
You said 1 a.m. Okay, it's that now.
How much longer? My leg's got a cramp holding down a clutch.
Not much longer. Here he is, Rick. Just turn the corner.
Fancy pants, ain't he? Almost ashamed to put a hole in that zoot suit.
What are you waiting for, Rick?
Christmas. I want to give your friend a present.
This ain't no time for jokes.
Shut up, Jimmy. That ties it. Let's ride, Faithful.
You said it.
Take it easy, Faithful, and watch the traffic lights. We don't want no tickets now.
Right. Well, it's sure nice shooting, Ricky. Pretty.
Yeah, like we learned at PS9, Jimmy. Wait till you see the whites of their eyes. Or was that Bunker Hill?
I don't remember. Was it?
Yeah, it was.
What now, Rick?
You take the 4th Street trolley home.
What are you going to do?
Oh, my chauffeur is going to drive me to the 10th Street line, and I'll meet you at the room.
Can I go with you, Rick?
Now, look, kid, get smart. How many times have I got to tell you? When we do a job, we don't let nobody see us together. And if the flat fee check the landlady, she can say she heard us come in separate.
Oh. Sorry, Rick. 4th Street coming up.
You got car fare, Jimmy?
Oh, yeah, sure. And enough for a couple of beers.
Let me see.
Here. Hey, that's my beer money.
You keep the car fare, that's all.
Gee whiz, Rick. Just a glass of beer.
No, you know what beer does to your tongue. It grows a mile. Okay, Jimmy, on your way.
Okay, Ricky. You're right, like always. See you at the room. I'll see you, Faithful.
Right, see you. Go, Rick.
Go. you take your right trolley?
Only one on 4th Street. Lets him off a block from the room.
You take everything.
I gotta, or he'll get good and lost.
What about Chicago?
We're going. You and me.
And him?
Nah, we talk. He's scared of a new city.
And here he ain't scared?
He says not. Anyway, he knows how the streets run.
Ain't that something?
What do you think, Faithful?
Think? About what?
About me going to Chicago and leaving Jimmy here.
Yeah, he's old enough to take care of himself.
Is he? Tonight don't look like it for my money.
So what? It ain't no skin off your nose.
Me and Jimmy grew up together. What I done, he done. We've been through a lot together.
But you ain't married to the dumb jerk.
Look, when two guys been friends... Nah, I don't know.
Look, Rick. You go to Chicago, you get big. Real big. Things being the way they are out there. So you come back. So you do big things for Jimmy here, if that's what you want.
Yeah, and while I'm away...
So he'll have to protect himself.
That's it. Protection. I can fix that for him. And any mug that moves in on Jimmy Bassett is going to be in for a rough time.
Rick Carpenter's here.
Let him in.
All right, Carpenter. In here.
Real formal, ain't you, Masters?
Could be. What's on your mind, Carpenter?
Jimmy Bassett.
Trouble?
So long as I'm out of trouble, so is Jimmy. Till now.
What's the matter, you two lovebirds scrapping? You want me to have Hank here do a job on him?
Save the jokes. What I want is just the opposite. I'm pulling out, heading west.
You and Horace Greeley. Can't say I'm sorry.
I didn't think you would be. Dividing territory is okay, but someday one guy wants it all. That's trouble. I figure Chicago's ripe for picking. You can have this burg.
Thanks. What about Bassett?
He ain't going with me.
Yeah, that's news.
Yeah, I figured it would be. Also, it's getting known around. And there's characters around that would figure they'd be hitting me if they took care of Jimmy.
Ain't that the truth?
So what?
So plenty. Jimmy ain't so good at thinking things out. But in easy territory, he can handle.
Go on.
I want you to give him territory, where the pickings are pretty good, but where he won't have no trouble, with the law or otherwise.
What am I, a wet nurse?
No, not exactly. But you're going to protect Jimmy on account of I'm letting you have my share of this town from here on. You got a deal?
Did you think we didn't?
No. But make a note, Masters. Anybody touches Jimmy Bassett pays off to me.
You want to see me, Mr. Masters?
Yeah, sit down.
Thanks.
You know Hank Carter, don't you?
Sure. Hi, Hank. Good enough. What do you want me for, Mr. Masters? Ain't I been doing good?
Okay. Not so good as Rick in Chicago, but okay.
Yeah. He's doing terrific, huh?
You hear the latest, Jimmy?
No, what?
The two big shots out there. They got doing some shooting.
Nothing happened to Rick?
Nothing, except he's rolling the roost. He's cocking the walk out there.
Oh. I always knew Rick would be big boss someday.
Yeah. That's why we sent for you.
I don't want to go out there. I like it here.
Sure. And you've been doing fine here. So good, we want to give you new territory.
Thanks, Mr. Masters. I sure appreciate that.
We figure you're the man to handle the waterfront.
You moving in on Pineapple Johnson's district?
Either that or he moves on us.
Fellow me figure you're the man to do it. You really think so?
Of course we do. After all, everybody knows you're Rick's best friend. And him being so big now, nobody's nuts enough to get wise with you.
I get it. You mean Rick ain't even here, but he's looking after me anyways, huh?
Right the first time. You want the territory?
I always wanted a job like this. Boy, oh boy. Will Rick be proud of me now?
Hi, fella.
Hi.
Jimmy Bassett, ain't you?
Right the first time, pal. Who you?
Name's Johnson. Pineapple Johnson.
Hey, I'm glad I ran into you. I've been looking for you.
That's so?
Yeah. Look,
I just want to tell you Phil Masters sent me down here. I should take over. You can still operate, but you got to pay off.
Look, you nuts or something?
Me? No. Why?
You know who you're talking to?
You said you was Pineapple Johnson, didn't you?
Look, are you smarter than you look or as dumb as you sound?
Who's dumb? I told you, that's all.
I didn't hear you with my own ears. I wouldn't believe it. Don't you know what happens to little boys like you? They talk to me like this.
Nothing happens. Leastways, nothing happens to me.
Oh, got a bulletproof vest or something?
Don't like 'em. Uncomfortable. Anyways, I don't need one. I got a friend.
I know. In Chicago. I got a friend, too. Right here. See?
Yes, nice-looking piece. 38?
45. Makes a nice hole. Nice big hole.
I'd like to see it sometime.
A time like the present, I always say. Ever see a hole like that, Jimmy boy? In anybody's belly?
Ricky. Oh, Ricky.
Oh, nuts. They even put dogs out of their misery. And that's that. Too bad, Jimmy boy. Your pal was too far away to help you that time.
In just a moment, Crime Does Not Pay will continue with Thick as Thieves. Now we continue with Crime Does Not Pay, starring Everett Sloane as Rick Carpenter in Thick as Thieves. Word travels quickly on the grapevine of the underworld. Before the Chicago newspapers carried their brief stories on inside pages of a gang killing on the waterfront of another city, Rick Carpenter knew that Jimmy Bassett was dead. He came back to his native city with just Faithful Hill for company, in style. Rick came back in time to join Phil Masters as one of the chief mourners at Jimmy's funeral.
Some funeral, eh, Rick?
Yeah. Nice flowers.
Notice the casket? Solid bronze, silver handles.
I noticed.
5 G's I laid out.
So was Jimmy. Laid out. This our car?
Yep. You and me and the driver.
You and me and Faithful and the driver.
You mind if Hank rides in the first car, too?
Why not? Okay, Faithful.
Right, boss.
Hank, no. Not with the driver. On a jump seat like Faithful.
You said it, Phil.
Well, Phil?
Well, what?
You done anything about Pineapple and his mob?
Haven't had the manpower yet.
You don't need manpower when you use choppers.
We ain't up to those modern Chicago methods around here.
Not yet.
Look, I'll handle this, Rick.
Like you handled Jimmy?
I figured nobody'd touch him.
You figured.
Count if he was your pal.
So you let my pal go down to the waterfront alone without even a piece on him?
How should I know he'd be dumb enough to...
Shut up. It's like murder.
Look, Rick, the mark is dead. Nothing you can do about that.
He wouldn't be dead if you protected him like I said. I told you what to do.
You're out of your territory, Rick. You tell him in Chicago, I tell him here.
Maybe you told Pineapple, too.
I told him nothing. But when I'm ready, Pineapple will be told plenty.
You think he'll be able to hear you by that time, Phil? You think he'll be able to hear you?
Say, Lieutenant.
Yeah, Leo?
We got company.
Not the first time.
You won't believe this till you see him. Rick Carpenter.
What? That hoodlum hasn't been in this station house since he was picked up for swiping apples when he was a kid.
Yeah, well, you should see him now. Diamond on his little finger, silk shirt with French cuffs, no less.
This I gotta see. Call him in.
All right, Carpenter. Lieutenant Cantrell will see you.
Wow, so it's Lieutenant Cantrell now, huh?
So it is. What's on your mind, Carpenter?
Well, you might ask a man to sit down when he brings information.
You, a stoolie? Spill it, Rick.
You want the character who got Jimmy Bassett?
Pineapple Johnson?
Oh, you know.
We know more than you give us credit for. You got any evidence? The slugs from Pineapple's gun, for instance.
I know Phil Masters sent Jimmy into that territory.
You call that evidence?
In other words, you ain't interested.
Well, I wouldn't say that, Rick. We're interested, but we can wait. After all, when you mugs shoot each other, why should we waste the taxpayers' time settling your quarrels for you?
Okay, I get it. You ain't interested. See you, Cantrell.
Sure. If you're looking for Johnson, he hangs out with his mob at the High Hat Pub.
Oh, that's so, Lieutenant. You do know a few things, don't you? Thanks.
Of all the gall. Of all the colossal gall.
You wish to check your hat, sir?
No, thanks. I don't believe in buying back what I paid for once. I want a good table.
You have a reservation?
No, so what?
I'll do my best for you, sir. This way, please.
Right behind you.
This be all right, sir?
It's too far back. There's a fin in it for you if you let me have that table next to the dance floor.
Was that for 6 people?
A fin, I said.
Very well, sir. This way. Here you are, sir.
Fine. And for you?
Thank you, sir.
Oh, waiter. Over there. That party at 10 just across the floor. Is that Mr. Johnson's party?
Yes, sir. That's his usual table.
Thanks. Thanks very much. Well, don't stand there and stare. Scram, will you?
Yes, sir. Of course.
Hey, Johnson! You there! Piney Johnson! Hey, you come? Watch it, boys. It's Carpenter. You bet it's Carpenter. I thought you'd like to know where you got it from. You and your boys! Ah, shut up. Get out of my way. You want what Johnson got? Get out of my way!
Morning, Phil.
Seen the paper, huh?
Yeah. Wondered if you did.
Lone gunman kills 5 in flare-up of gang war. Well, looks like we take over the waterfront with no trouble. No trouble at all.
Nick?
Who else? Rick and Jimmy. They sure were thick as thieves.
I've been meaning to ask you, Phil. Did you send Jimmy down there on purpose?
Not exactly. But Rick was getting kind of big. There's not much sense in having another boss's pal working for you, is there?
Smart, Phil.
Ah, well, Pineapple's out of the way. Rick's satisfied. We can forget the whole deal. Any mail?
Nothing. Oh, yeah, this was at the door, that's all.
It's like a Christmas card.
In October?
Post office always tells you to mail early, don't they? Let's see. Well, what do you know about this? Christmas greetings. Thought you'd like to have this now because it's the last Christmas card you'll ever get.
Who signed it?
Who do you suppose?
Rick?
Rick.
Remember the last job we did in this town, Faithful?
The one Jimmy fingered first?
Yeah, that's the one. The night I took his beer money away. Oh, the dope. The crazy dope.
Yeah, I remember. You made him take the 4th Street car so he wouldn't get lost.
I should have made him come to Chicago with us.
Now, quit blaming yourself, boss. One way or another, he's bound to get it. His kind always do.
I could have protected him. I shouldn't have trusted that bum Masters.
Ah, cut it out, boss. You can't bring Jimmy back.
No, but I can sure give him company.
See why you don't hire this job out.
Not this one.
Even with the chopper, broad daylight, it's dangerous.
Not for me, it ain't. And I want to see them die. That's all. I want to see them die.
Well, you ain't got long to wait. Looks like Master's car coming this way. There, up the street.
Like he owned the town, right down the middle of the street.
Suppose he got your car?
Sure he did. Think the government don't do its job?
Yeah, I suppose. When do I roll, boss? As soon as you let him have it?
No, not till I tell you. I want to be sure I didn't miss. Hold everything now.
What are you waiting for, Rick?
You know me. Whites of their eyes, like I told Jimmy. Like a sitting duck. Just like a sitting duck.
So this town never heard a chopper before. Well, it's a first time for everything. Hold that clutch, Faithful. Roll, Faithful. How's that for shooting, Faithful? If I didn't get him cold with the slugs, nobody'll live through that crack-up.
Yeah, they get him both ways. Where to, boss?
The florist, where I ordered that wreath. And then the cemetery. We're going to visit with Jimmy before we leave town.
That's a beautiful mess, Lieutenant.
Oh, Leo. Yes, very beautiful. So were Phil Masters, Hank Carter, and their driver.
Accident?
Not quite, Leo. Phil's head was shot half off. Hank got it in the chest. Driver died in the crack-up.
Any witnesses?
The usual. But all the neighbors agreed it was a machine gun.
First time around here. Well, nobody will miss them pigeons. Anything to work on or the usual?
Christmas card in Master's pocket.
Christmas card for the
Yeah.
I see. Carpenter.
Thought you were detailed to tail him.
I was. Came over here as soon as we got the flash on the radio.
How come?
I lost Carpenter.
When? Where?
Tailed him into a florist shop. He came out, got in the car. Hill was driving. We tried to follow. The cab cut in front. We lost him.
Florist shop. What's he got he needs flowers for?
A dame, I suppose.
Was he carrying anything when he came out? A box, maybe?
No, not a thing.
Then he ordered something, probably something too big to carry, or something that had to be made up for him.
Too big. Like a wreath, maybe?
Wreath. That's it. Let's go, Leo.
Where to?
Out in the country a ways. Get on the radio. We're going to need reinforcements.
All right, Faithful. Wait here.
Why don't we just drive in?
Only funerals are allowed to drive in. Visitors walk.
Can't I come too?
I want to do this alone. Leaks come heavy. I won't be long.
Don't be, will you, Rick? These places give me the willies.
Pardon me, sir.
Yeah, what's on your mind?
Do you know your way in here, sir?
Yeah?
May I ask what grave you're visiting?
Any of your business?
Well, it's customary to ask for permission at the office, sir.
I don't need permission. It's the Bassett grave, if you gotta know.
Oh, I see. Very well, sir.
What do you see?
Just an expression, sir. It's just over there.
I said I knew, didn't I? Now beat it. Leave me alone.
Yes, sir, of course. Sorry if I...
I brought some flowers, Jimmy, and... Well, I thought I ought to tell you before I go back to Chicago. They all got it, Jimmy. Every one of them. So you got company. I gave it to them myself, just to be sure. Johnson and his mom, Phil, Hank. Every one of them.
Caretaker, you heard him say it himself.
Oh, yes, Lieutenant, I heard him.
Why, you lousy cop! Not even in the cemetery.
We got you cold. Jimmy didn't hear you, but we did.
Hey, Faithful, start the engine. I'm coming out.
Faithful's been taken care of, Carpenter. You went for the wreath, so we outguessed you and got here first. And our friend, the caretaker, made sure you went to the right place.
Yeah, the right place for you and your whole stinking outfit.
Watch it. Let him have it. No place to hide out here, Carpenter.
Who wants to hide?
Are you okay, Lieutenant?
Nice shooting. That ground is awful hard when you hit it as fast as we did.
Is he dead?
Nobody lives with that much lead in him. All right, Leo. We'll drop him at the morgue. Too bad, isn't it? We can't leave him right here.
Crime does not pay. Everett Sloan, who was starred as Rick Carpenter in Thick as Thieves, will be back with you in just a moment. Now, here in person is Everett Sloane.
There have been many classic friendships in the history of our civilization, and many of them have meant much to the progress of mankind in many fields. The friendship of Ricky Carpenter and Jimmy Bassett might have developed that way, for good rather than evil, if when they were boys they had been given proper direction, training, opportunity. But society failed in that respect, and while both young men lost their lives, society was the loser too, losing by two minds which might have done better things. It follows, then, that not only for the criminal in cases like this, but also for the rest of us, crime does not pay.
Thank you, Everett Sloane. Crime Does Not Pay is written by Ira Marion and directed by Marks B. Loeb, with music composed and conducted by John Gart. Technical advisor is Burton B. Turtis. The events, characters, and names used in the story you've just heard are fictitious. Any similarity is purely coincidental.
This I believe. Theodore Roosevelt III is a businessman. A graduate of Groton School and Harvard College, his education was greatly enhanced by travel. His father was, among other things, a governor to Puerto Rico and the Philippines, and an explorer of note. After college, Mr. Roosevelt worked for the DuPont Company until World War II. Upon his release from the Navy, he joined Montgomery Scott and Company, stockbrokers, where he is now a general partner. He was also Secretary of Commerce of Pennsylvania for 2 years under former Governor Duff. Here now is Mr. Roosevelt.
I remember as a child taking pretty well for granted the fact that we lived an intensely happy and particularly close family life. It never occurred to me to wonder that Father, busy and hard-working as he was, could still find ample time to be with his children, teaching them to play games, camp out in the woods, fish, shoot, and learn how to be good sports. Upon growing up, it became increasingly evident that my family was particularly fortunate in our relationships to each other. Without great wealth, we enjoyed all the things that really count in youth. I learned to appreciate this fact and to value it highly. Now, with a family of my own, I find that the time I am able to be at home provides the perfect balance for the hectic rush and nervous strain of the competitive business world of today. This, I believe, is my anchor in life, the unchanging constant providing me with the correct perspective on life and the world at large. There have been days in my life which seemed to consume all my energy, and yet which at the end appeared totally wasted, leaving me tired mentally, exhausted physically, and thoroughly discouraged. If I remain close to my business problems after work, there is almost no chance of achieving the detached view necessary to relax and recover the mental balance required for success and happiness. When I get down in the dumps, feeling cross as a bear, and finding little good in anything, I find the only sure cure lies at home. My wife is only too well acquainted with the myriad variations in humor of her husband returning from work, and seems quite successfully to have developed a remarkable knack of diversionary tactics calculated to snap him out of unreasonable and senseless moods. She knows exactly when to sympathize and cajole, and just as important, when not to, when to pin my ears back. She knows when to discuss business and unravel problems with me, or when to launch into a series of amusing and diverting trivialities. I believe that it is because of our having been successful in developing a happy home that we have achieved this real understanding and companionship. Without it, I am sure, both our lives would seem empty and meaningless. My son and I often spend time in our cellar workshop, toiling pleasantly on joint projects of no earth-shaking importance in themselves. but which provide excellent opportunity for us to grow up together. Oddly enough, it is at times such as these, with a mind wiped clean of material cares, that the solution to some nagging problem will suddenly appear with surprising ease and simplicity. During the Second World War, I was one of the millions of fathers separated from their families. I firmly believe that the remembrance of my family as a unit, rather than as individuals, was of inestimable help in bridging those years. My family means all these things to me, but of far greater importance in my book is the sense of fulfillment of what I believe to be man's real reason for existing, the creation of a happy unit of society, his own family.
That was the creed of Theodore Roosevelt III, who lives with his wife and young son in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Calling all detectives. I once had a case in which a mystery story writer provided the chief exhibit, his own murdered body. That is the situation on this page from my casebook, the casebook of Jerry Browning, private detective. Sometimes people ask me, Jerry Browning, private detective, how I feel about circumstantial evidence. Well, it all depends on the circumstances. Bungalow A at the Fremont Motel was occupied by one dead man lying on the floor and 8 live cops who were swarming all over the place. While Lieutenant Dawson of Homicide checked for fingerprints, I talked to my friend Tim Fremont, who owned the motel. This murdered man, Henry Hackett, has he stayed out here before, Tim? Tim nodded. Sure. Some kind of a writer, wasn't he? At least that's what he told me. Been coming here for years. Arrived 2 weeks ago, scribbled on a pad of paper all day long. Never any guests. Liked it here because he could get away from people. I don't suppose you caught a glimpse of whoever shot him? Tim shook his head. It was late at night. I heard the shot, same as everybody else. Whoever did it jumped into a car. No lights. Got clean away. Dawson came over to us, holding a letter in his hand.
Jerry, here's a letter we found in Hackett's pocket. Listen. If you insist, we shall keep the midnight date, although I think the whole setup smells of melodrama and hokum. As to Diane, certainly she must die. You can decide when, where, and how. The letter's typed, no signature. What do you think of that, Jerry?
Hackett was a mystery story writer, wasn't he?
Sure he was. What about it?
I just thought I'd mention it, Dawson.
These writers, none of them satisfied to stick to their stories. They have to fool with real crime. Jerry, this case is crawling with clues. I'll have it solved within 24 hours.
When Henry Hackett, a mystery story writer, was murdered, the police found a letter that seemed to name his murderess. Back at headquarters, Dawson called in the reporters.
We'll get this Diane woman mentioned in the letter, boys. She's bound to have been seen in public with Hackett someplace. He intended to kill her, only she killed him first. Give me a play on the story and we'll smoke her out.
The boys really gave the story a play. They smeared it all over page 1. Late that afternoon...
Joe Cooper is my name, Lieutenant. I take care of Mr. Hackett's house while he's away working. Mr. Hackett, he said that if anything ever happened to him, for me to get in touch with his literary agent, a feller by the name of Durham.
Dwight Durham, the literary agent, was sleek, well-groomed, and amused. Come in, gentlemen. I read a story in the papers about some mysterious person named Diane. Might I see the letter which he's mentioned? Dawson handed over the letter. Durham read it, then... I know this is hardly a time for humor, but... Well, there's been a really funny mistake. Durham reached into his desk, took out 2 file folders. I'm afraid that letter's misled you, Lieutenant. Here's the proof in this first folder. It was proof, all right. Galley proof of the first installment of a new Henry Hackett murder mystery serial. In the very first chapter, there was a character all the other people in the story hated. Her name was Diane. I read the type over Dawson's shoulder, noticed that his ears were turning a bright red. After a few moments more, Dawson put the proofs down.
Oh, Jerry, I'll never live this down. Those newspaper reporters will kid me for the rest of my life.
Durham opened the second folder. Here's the rest of the manuscript about the luckless Diane. As for the letter about her, that was written by Harrison Carter, editor-in-chief of the Green Book magazine in Boston. You can call him and check on it if you like. Dawson reached for the phone. Don't think I won't. I stopped him. It's no use, Dawson. You know as well as I do that Mr. Durham is telling us the truth. Durham cut in on me. Gentlemen, I'm rather busy this morning. If you have no further business with me... We're not quite finished, Mr. Durham. You are Hackett's agent. Suppose you tell the lieutenant all you know about Hackett while I look through this manuscript. I picked up the typed pages, read through Chapter 7, by which time, sure enough, Diane had been murdered. I turned the page, and there was no more story. Hey, where's the rest of the story?
That's all of it, Mr. Browning. Hackett was killed before he finished the book.
I kept on staring at the typed sheets. Something was bothering me, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it. This stuff isn't up to Hackett's usual standard, is it?
I wouldn't say that, Mr. Browning.
Dawson yawned, got up. Mr. Durham can't tell us anything, Jerry. Come on. Let's get back to headquarters. Wait a second, Dawson. I've got an angle on what you can tell those reporters about Diane. Sit down at that typewriter over there and rap it out before I lose the idea. Dawson shrugged, sat down again. Statement to the press concerning the Hackett murder. Please do not release until after the arrest of Hackett's murderer. I've got that, Jerry. Go ahead. I didn't answer. Instead, I reached over, pulled the sheet out of the machine. I turned to the agent. Mr. Durham, I've changed my mind about phoning the editor of the Green Book in Boston. I'll call him now to find out whether Hackett usually sent in his scripts typewritten or in longhand. There was a long pause. Then Durham smiled weakly.
Never mind. I'll answer that. Hackett wrote in longhand. I suppose you've noticed that the type on my typewriter checks for the typing of these manuscript pages. Well, I type his scripts from the longhand drafts when he mails them to me.
Okay. Where are the original pages?
I don't save them.
Jerry, what's this all about?
Dawson, this is about a literary agent who took his client's original manuscript, threw it away, and wrote substitute chapters. Why did you do that, Mr. Durham? Durham kept denying it, finally admitted under pressure that he did rewrite Hackett's material, claimed it was within his rights as literary agent to do so. Dawson was handling the questioning now. Durham was lying desperately and beginning to show fear, out of all proportion to the spot he was in. I didn't listen to his answers, just kept watching his eyes. And 10 minutes later... Don't ask him anything else, Dawson. I think I know where Hackett's original manuscript is. I opened the bottom drawer of a file cabinet across the room, the spot Durham had been staring at. Yeah, I found Hackett's original script. A complete story with one character who did not appear in Durham's version. The character of a crooked literary agent, one who took a power of attorney from writers and then squandered their money. That's how Hackett had intended to show up his agent, and that's why the agent murdered him and wrote a few chapters of a completely new version of the book. Why didn't I suspect Durham? Remembering that Hackett worked in longhand was part of it, but mostly I know writers. And any mystery writer who turns out only 7 chapters in 2 weeks wouldn't last long in that tough business. Like I said, the real clues aren't always evident. Finding them generally depends on the right circumstances. Listen next time to Calling All Detectives. Mystery drama, mystery quiz, and a chance for you to match wits with yours truly, Jerry Browning, Private Detective.
Murder at midnight.
So lovely. Everything about you. Your eyes, your lips, your lovely white throat. I can feel it pulsing under my hands, throbbing.
Don't, Frank, you're hurting me. You're choking me.
Midnight, the witching hour when the night is darkest, our fears the strongest, and our strength at its lowest ebb. Midnight, when the graves gape open and death strikes. How? You'll learn the answer in just a minute in Till Death Do Us Part. Murder at Midnight. Tales of Mystery and Terror by radio's masters of the macabre. Our story by Joseph Ruskell is Till Death Do Us Part.
A wistful eye upon that little tent of blue which prisoners call the sky.
Ruth, I want to tell you something. Put down that book and listen. I love you.
Some love too little, some too long. Some sell and others buy. Some do the deed with many tears and some without a sigh.
You hear me, Ruth? I love you.
Some do it with a bitter look. Some with a flattering word.
Professor Clark.
Yes, Professor Clark.
Love me, darling.
Wildly?
Put the book away. Almost there now. Bridal suite waiting.
Oh, Frank. Promise you'll always love me.
Till death do us part. Another glass, darling. Come on.
It's sweet to dance to violins when love and life are fair. To dance to flute, to dance to lute is delicate and rare.
But it is not so sweet with nimble feet
to dance upon the air. Frank,
darling,
you've hardly kissed me. Why are you looking at me like that?
you're so lovely.
Come over here, the couch. A shy bridegroom in this day and age? Darling, why are you acting so strangely? Well, if the mountain won't come to Mohammed... Come here, my lord and master. Kiss me.
Oh, Ruth, I love you so.
Darling, why do you keep staring at me like that? Frank!
Ruth, no.
Darling, what's the matter?
I don't know.
Please, Frank, after all...
No, don't come near me. Don't touch me. Ruth, something terrible is happening to me. It's a feeling... It's too dreadful to believe.
What is it?
When I take you in my arms, when I kiss you, I love you and I want you so that I feel a hideous urge to...
To what, darling?
Strangle you to death.
Just brought in breakfast. What are you doing?
Shaving. Finishing up now. Morning, Professor.
Morning, Professor. Life is wonderful.
Wonderful.
Oh?
Thank you.
Leave us enter the parlor, husband.
Yes. Leave us eat, my bride. Ah! What feast is this that tempts my palate? Fall to, spouse. Ah! Citrus, my favorite ice squirt. I'm so happy I feel like dancing.
It's sweet to dance the violin.
Yes, that's right. How's it go? It's sweet to dance to violin.
When love and life are fair. Eat, dear. What's wrong?
I guess I'm not very hungry.
Frank, you're thinking of that incident last night again. You are, aren't you?
How could I have said that to you? I can't understand what got into me.
Now, darling, you're to forget it. Don't talk about it anymore. Don't even think of it. It was just your little joke.
Some joke. Wonder I didn't frighten you to death.
Well...
The funny thing is, the next minute I was laughing at myself, and so were you, but when I said it, Ruth, I can't explain it. I can't eat now.
Frank.
It was like an obsession. Yes, that's it. It was an obsession. Ruth, you're a psychologist. What does it mean? To have felt that horrible urge to do that to you. To you, I must have been mad.
Now, darling, don't say that. Don't spoil our honeymoon with this nonsense. You'll be talking things into yourself. I don't know what it is. Your nerves are on edge from your accident, that terrible crash just 3 months ago.
Please, Ruth, please, I don't want to think about it. I can still see it, that horrible, twisted wreck.
Well, you're lucky you're alive. Be thankful I am.
She was hitting 80, showing off. I couldn't stop her, that daffy little sister of yours.
Darling.
I'm sorry, dear. I'm sorry. I guess I felt as awful about it as you did. Brilliant student, could have been one of my best if she'd ever opened a book. The poor kid, what a way to die. Maybe if I hadn't accepted a lift to town, who knows, she might still
Now,
be...
please, darling, let's forget it. It's not good for you. You haven't been at all yourself ever since then.
No, I haven't. Have I?
Well, everything has its compensation, dear. After all, that's what brought us together. Closely, I mean.
Yes, that's right, in the hospital, but you were an angel.
Oh.
Well, you were just an angel from heaven, the way you helped to nurse me through all that time, when I was only half conscious, nursed me and read to me. Yes, the way you read to me.
Why do you say it like that, Frank?
Well, I don't know. There's something you read to me over and over when I was barely conscious. I've heard it ever since, deep down. I can't seem to recall it, but I feel that it had something to do with my crazy behavior last night. A line. It's still with me. It never seems to leave me. Seems to make me want to do something horrible.
Now, Frank, stop talking. You're ill again. You're pale as a ghost.
What is that line? I've got to know.
Please, darling, please, stop shouting. I'm with you. Your love is with you. Now kiss me, dear. Hold me tight.
Oh, so lovely. Everything about you. Your eyes, your lips, your lovely white throat. I feel it pulsing. I can feel your throat pulsing, darling, in my hands. Pulsing.
No, Frank, you're hurting me. Oh, you're choking me.
Yes, sir. I'm checking out. Room number 438. Call me a cab. From the bridal suite? Well, just a moment. There's something wrong, sir. You and your wife just checked in last night. Any complaint? No complaint. Just call me a cab. Oh, an emergency. What business is it of yours? Where's another hotel? Why, you'll find it very difficult in New York without a reservation. And if you and your wife... I'm checking out. Who said anything about my wife? She's better off without me, do you hear? Well, what are you gawking at? She's very lovely, remember? Would she make a nice corpse in a bridal suite? Oh, go to the devil.
Where to now, mister? Where now?
Just shake off that other cab.
I did 3 hours ago. I told you 10 times. What now?
Just drive around the park.
We've been around and around and around. How long can this go on?
That line. What was that line? What was it?
Huh?
What was that line?
Oh, pal, we going over that again, too? What line? You want the 7th Avenue line? If I'm not talking out of turn, Bob, you must have lifted quite a few today.
Get me to a hotel.
We tried a dozen. Remember, they're full up. Hey, just who are you, mister? What's your racket?
What's that to you?
Okay, I just asked.
I was a teacher, cabby, in a woman's college. But that's only a blind. My name is Jack the Ripper, see? But some people just call me Bluebeard.
Huh? This is the end of my line, chum. Pay up and get out.
No, I won't. You can't make me get out. You can't.
I can't, huh?
No, because if I do get out, I may go back. And if I go back, don't you understand? I'll kill her.
For richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. A bridegroom, dazed and obsessed, standing on the city street, fearing to return to his bride, because he knows if he does, it will mean
murder at midnight.
night, and till death do us part.
Yes? What do you want?
Good evening, sir. My name is Bluebeard. You're the proprietor of this charming boarding house.
You're drunk.
Forsooth, 'tis true. May I tarry the night?
No vacancies. Go on now, get on your way.
Where's his room? Top floor, rear, Mrs. Clark. He came in about an hour ago, drunk as you please. He asked for a single. I'm not one to rent to drunks, mind you, but I can see he's really educated. And a gentleman, though a queer one, if you ask me, with his eyes all bloodshot. Here it is. Did he say when he'll be back? He said he was going for his bags. I'll just wait in his room if you don't mind. It's all right. I'm his wife, I tell you. Well, I don't know. Something mighty fishy about all this. Well, excuse me, there's the hall phone. If it's not one thing, it's another. All right, all right. Hello? Yes? Who? Who? Oh, just a minute. It's him, ma'am. He wants to talk to the lady who just came in.
Let me speak to him. Hello, Frank.
I saw you go in. What are you doing in my house?
Darling, it's so good to hear your voice again. I was so worried.
Answer me. What are you doing there? How did you know where to find me?
I've been following you everywhere. I don't want you to leave me, darling. I love you.
Get out of there. Stop haunting me. I'm no good for you. Haven't you had enough? Go away.
I won't. You need me. I'm your wife. Come back to me, Frank.
Frank, how can you still want me? What are you inviting? Why don't you take a train home? Do you want to die? You know I'll kill you the next time we're alone. You know I've gone mad.
Now, don't say that. You're just ill, and I'll nurse you back to health. Oh, Frank, this is your wife talking. What sort of spineless thing do you suppose you've married? What would you have me do? Run to the police and ask them to protect me from my husband? Run to the police and cry that the man I love wants to kill me? Run to the police and tell them...
That's right. Of course. Why didn't I think of that before?
No, Frank! Frank! Frank, what are you going to do?
Have a seat, Mrs. Clark.
What is it you want of me, Inspector Wade? Why was I called here to the police station?
You've no idea?
No. Oh. Is he here, my husband? He told you?
But I thought he was just drunk.
Oh, I told him not to come here. I told him not to.
Then it's all true? This beats anything I've ever heard. Man loves wife so much he wants to strangle her. Kisses her. Gets an irresistible yen to choke her to death. And on their honeymoon. You want to prefer charges?
Prefer charges? What for?
Well, attempted homicide ought to cover it.
I won't. He's my husband. I love him. I'll stick by him no matter what.
But he ought to at least be sent to Bellevue for a mental.
Oh, no, you won't. There's nothing mentally wrong with Frank. Nothing at all. It's simply nerves, the result of an accident he had recently.
This really takes the cake. Mrs. Clark, another thing that puzzles me.
Yes?
He kept raving about a line when he staggered in here, as if it were life or death. A line of poetry he couldn't remember. Wanted me to tell him what it was. Confidentially, I've only read one poem in my life. Now, what's that all about?
I haven't the vaguest notion, Inspector. Just part of his neurotic state, I suppose. When we get back to our hotel room.
What? You want him back after what happened?
Yes. Don't you see, I must cure him of that awful obsession. Who else can do it but me? I'd like to see him now, Inspector. Please release him to me. I'll take the consequences.
He's not here.
Not here?
No. We held him overnight just to let him sober up like we would any other drunk. Thought it was just all boozy eyewash. Well, this morning he seemed a new man, laughed it all off. So we released him. Just a few minutes ago.
Oh, wonderful.
But then I had a hunch I ought to warn you anyway. Just a hunch.
Warn me?
Yeah. He said he was going to call on you tonight at the hotel for a little reunion.
Oh, how marvelous. Maybe he's all cured.
I don't know. I didn't like the way he smiled when he said it. Mrs. Clark, after what you just told me, I think I ought to have him picked up again.
You'll do no such thing.
It's taking your life in your hands. I think he's got wheels in his head.
I don't care. I love him.
You die just as dead when you're in love.
I'm not afraid. I'll never leave him. Certainly not now when he needs me more than ever. Is that all, Inspector?
Okay, lady. You're 14 carat. He sure doesn't deserve a wife like you. And don't say I didn't warn you. It's your funeral.
Thank you, Inspector. Goodbye.
Oh, Mrs. Clark, there's one more thing perhaps I ought to tell you.
Yes.
When I released him just a while ago, he said something else that puzzled me. That being in jail had suddenly given him revelation. He smiled very queerly when he said it.
Oh?
I think maybe he found that line of poetry, Mrs. Clark.
Hello?
Ruth?
Where are you, Frank?
In the lobby.
Come up.
I don't know exactly what your game is, my sweet bride. But I'm warning you. I've had a revelation.
I know. It's high time.
I'm going to finish it, Ruth, this time. You asked for it.
Come up, Frank.
Sure?
Sure.
Your funeral.
A coward does it with a kiss. Come in, Frank. The door's open.
Throwing a party, my dear?
Yes,
Who's invited?
you and I.
What are we celebrating?
An uninvited guest at our honeymoon. Death has come with you, hasn't it, this time?
Yes.
Shall we drink to him?
Why not?
Do you still love me, Frank?
Yes, I still love you. But I love you better when you're dead for what you've done.
How much do you know?
Not enough. It came to me in jail last night. The jail had something to do with it. How, I still don't know, but enough to make me remember something you whispered in the hospital when I was just coming to. You said, "I'll get my revenge, Frank. Do you hear me? I'll get my revenge."
Splendid. A from memory. What else?
Enough to make me realize that you hate me and have always hated me, although you pretended otherwise.
Brilliant. Say loved and hated you. Go on.
And that somehow, I don't know myself in what way, but I'm sure it must be a very clever way, as your psychology students would agree. You've been coldly, deliberately torturing me, trying to make me think myself a maniac, or have others think so.
Close enough.
Why, what I can't understand is why you did it, or why you weren't afraid that I'd really murder you.
You'll soon find out.
And I'm convinced now that you've done it all with a single line. A single line of poetry. In my jail cell, I was sure of it. The very walls seemed to tell me, I don't know why, that it was a line that you kept reading to me at the hospital, over and over and over again, that made me think I wanted to kill you.
And what was that line?
That's what I'm going to find out. Right now.
Don't come any closer, Professor.
You know, it's perfectly ridiculous. Looking at you now, close to you where I can almost touch you, that crazy obsession is still with me. I laugh at it intellectually. I know that you've tricked me into it by some very obvious power of suggestion, but I still feel that way.
Don't come any nearer. I'm warning you.
Isn't it eerie? I still love you and can strangle you for my love. And will.
Stay where you are. You're not going to kill me, darling. I'm going to kill you. Now, do you see why I wasn't afraid of you?
That gun. You've had it all the time.
Correct, my love. Right here in the wine table drawer. I've planned this all along, Angel, from the very first. Before we were even married. Yes, your intuition was right. From the day you and my little sister were brought to the hospital after the accident. From the day she died, and the doctor said you'd pull through. I planned it all. And it's worked out like a perfect equation every step of the way.
Why? Why?
I had to commit the perfect crime, and I've done it. Even the police will testify that it was self-defense against a homicidal maniac. And when they find you here with a bullet in your head, they'll congratulate me.
But what's this all? I still don't...
It had to be the perfect crime because I must go free. You see, one life has already paid for yours. And quart for quart, your blood is worth no more than my family's.
I don't understand this at all. What did I ever do?
You killed my sister.
I killed her?
She told me before she left on that drive with you that she was going to crash the car. She left before I could stop her. She told me everything, Frank, including what you'd done to her.
Everything. Huh. I see. So that's it. Well, I don't suppose it would be of any use my trying to convince
No, no use. I've waited a long time for this moment. Revenge is sweet. And it was such fun to torture you. I used a weapon I knew. Of course, it was power of suggestion. Sure, you guessed it. But what a pity you don't know the line yet.
What was it? What was it? Tell me. Tell me. Don't keep me in torture.
Keep back. Think hard, Frank. Think all around it. What about a jail and the revelation it gave you? What about a famous poet who wrote a famous poem while in jail?
Why,
yes.
Oscar Wilde. That's it. Yes, that's it from Oscar Wilde, the ballad.
Of course, the ballad.
The Ballad of Reading Gaol. How could it ever have escaped me? Why, you witch, you've even been reading from it on our honeymoon. But what part? What verse? What line? What was the line?
Don't take another step or I'll pull the trigger.
Give me the line, I say. I still can't think of the line.
Keep back or I'll shoot.
Oh, no, you won't.
One more step and I'll shoot.
Tell me that line or I'll kill you.
All men kill the thing they love. Remember, Frank?
How's the next line go, Mrs. Clark? By all, let this be heard? So I heard. Too bad I was a little late.
Inspector Wade.
You know, ma'am, like I said, I only read one poem in my whole life. But ain't it the darndest thing? It happened to be the Ballad of Reading Gaol.
Till death do us part. A honeymoon in the bridal suite. Red wine spilled on the table, and red blood on the floor as the clock strikes 12 for murder at midnight. Remember to be with us again when death's key turns in the lock and the clocks strike 12 for murder at midnight.
The part of Professor Ruth Clark was played by Elspeth Eric. Professor Frank Clark by Eric Dressler. With music by Charles Paul, Murder at Midnight was directed by Anton M. Leader.
And now, This I Believe. The living philosophies of thoughtful men and women presented in the hope they may strengthen your beliefs so that your life may be richer, fuller, happier. Here is Edward R. Murrow.
This I Believe. By that name, we bring you a new series of radio broadcasts presenting the personal philosophies of thoughtful men and women in all walks of life. In this brief time each night, a banker or a butcher, a painter or a social worker, people of all kinds who need have nothing more in common than integrity, a real honesty, will talk out loud about the rules they live by, the things they have found to be the basic values in their lives. We hardly need to be reminded that we are living in an age of confusion. A lot of us have traded in our beliefs for bitterness and cynicism, or for a heavy package of despair, or even a quivering portion of hysteria. Opinions can be picked up cheap in the marketplace, while such commodities as courage and fortitude and faith are in alarmingly short supply. Around us all, now high like a distant thunderhead, now close upon us with the wet, choking intimacy of a London fog, there is an enveloping cloud of fear. There is a physical fear, the kind that drives some of us to flee our homes and burrow into the ground in the bottom of a Montana valley, like prairie dogs, to try to escape, if only for a little while, the sound and the fury of the A-bombs or the hell bombs or whatever may be coming. There is a mental fear, which provokes others of us to see the images of witches in a neighbor's yard and stampedes us to burn down his house. And there is a creeping fear of doubt of what we have been taught, of the validity of so many things we had long since taken for granted to be durable and unchanging. It has become more difficult than ever to distinguish black from white, good from evil, right from wrong. What truths can a human being afford to furnish the cluttered, nervous room of his mind with when he has no real idea how long a lease he has on the future? It is to try to meet the challenge of such questions that we have prepared these broadcasts. It has been a difficult task and a delicate one. Except for those who think in terms of pious platitudes or dogma or narrow prejudice, and those thoughts we aren't interested in, people don't speak their beliefs easily or publicly. In a way, our project has been an invasion of privacy, like demanding a man to let a stranger read his mail. General Lucius Clay remarked, it would hardly be less embarrassing for an individual to be forced to disrobe in public than to unveil his private philosophy. Mrs. Roosevelt hesitated a long time. What can I possibly say that will be of any value to anybody else, she asked us. And a railway executive in Philadelphia argued at first that we might as well try to engrave the Lord's Prayer on the head of a pin as to attempt to discuss anything thoughtfully in the space of 5 minutes. Yet, these people and many more have all made distinctive contributions of their beliefs to this series. You will hear from that inspiring woman, Helen Keller, who, despite her blindness, has lived a far richer life than most of us. From author Pearl Buck, sculptor William Zorak, businessmen and labor leaders, teachers and students. Perhaps we should warn you that there is one thing you won't hear, and that is a pat answer for the problems of life. We don't pretend to make this time a spiritual or psychological patent medicine chest where one can come and get a pill of wisdom to be swallowed like an aspirin to banish the headaches of our time. This reporter's beliefs are in a state of flux. It would be easier to enumerate the items I do not believe in than the other way around. And yet, in talking to people, in listening to them, I have come to realize that I don't have a monopoly on the world's problems. Others have their share, often far, far bigger than mine. This has helped me to see my own problems in truer perspective. And in learning how others have faced their problems, this has given me fresh ideas about how to tackle mine. I hope, as you listen to future programs on This I Believe, that they may be of assistance to you in a similar way.
For that most famous of all manhunters, the detective whose ability at solving crime is unequaled in the history of detective fiction, Nick Carter, Master Detective. Tonight's curious adventure,
9 Hours to Live, for Nick Carter and the Death House Mystery.
And now, a late news bulletin. 9 hours from now, at the stroke of midnight, Johnny Waldron, the blonde-faced killer convicted of the murder of Mrs. Cornelius Fielding, will go to the chair. Just 30 minutes ago, the condemned man made a last request. But Johnny Waldron did not ask for a sumptuous last meal in the tradition of the condemned. Nor did he ask to see his nearest and dearest relative, his wife, Laura. No, Johnny Waldron's request was for something much more dramatic. He asked to see the great detective, Nick Carter. Now, just what this last-minute conference means is anybody's guess. Perhaps a reprieve for Waldron. Perhaps a clue as to what happened to the Fielding jewels, which up to now have not even been found. At any rate, the master detective, Nick Carter, has consented to talk with Waldron and is probably at this very moment entering Death House Row. Keep tuned to this station for further dramatic developments.
Where have you got him, Guard? He's in number 1. We moved him to number 1 this morning. You see, it's a shorter ways to walk to the chair from number 1.
You all ready to go?
Yeah, the barber was in and shaved his head and legs about an hour ago.
How's you taking it?
Oh, there ain't been a peep out of him. Don't want nothing to eat. Don't want a chaplain, nothing at all. The only request he's made is to see you. Funny time to ask to see a detective, huh? And if you don't mind my asking, Mr. Carter, what made a big shot like you decide to see him?
Well, maybe I'm curious to know what's in his mind. Go up, Chief. About a fellow's going to die in a few hours.
I don't believe that you got any sympathy for a criminal. Not you. Not when a man's a killer. Well, here we are. Here's your company, Waldron.
Oh, hi.
Hello, Waldron.
Oh, Mr. Carter.
You got 5 minutes.
All right, Guard. Well, Johnny?
Oh, so you did come. Gosh, I was afraid you wouldn't.
Well, I must admit I was surprised when the warden called me and said you wanted to see me.
Yeah, I imagine you were. Gee, it was sure nice of you to come.
Let's skip the formalities, Johnny. Time's too short for chit-chat. Come to the point. What's on your mind?
Mr. Carter, you think I'm guilty, don't you?
Well, didn't follow your case too closely. But you had a fair trial. You were found guilty. What did you have me believe?
I'd like to have you believe that I'm innocent.
Pretty late in the game to convince, Johnny.
Oh, I'm not looking for a last-minute reprieve. That isn't what I asked you to come out here for. When I got word a little while ago that the governor refused my last request for a reprieve, I just made up my mind that I'd only be kidding myself if I hoped any longer.
Why did you want to see me, Johnny?
Mr. Carter, I know I haven't got a chance. I'm going to be gone in just a few hours now. But I could go a lot easier if I thought that maybe someday the world would know the truth. They'd know that Johnny Waldron was innocent.
Johnny, if I thought you were innocent, I'd start the wheels turning right now to get you a reprieve.
Oh, wait. Let me finish, Mr. Carter. I know you don't believe me. Nobody does. I guess I couldn't expect you to believe me after the way things went at the trial. But sitting here in death row, waiting, the idea came to me that maybe Nick Carter would show him someday. Of course, I'd be gone, but, well, you see, there's Laura, my wife. She's going to keep on living, and it'll be hard for her.
I suppose she believes you're innocent.
Oh, she's stuck by me swell. She's a wonderful woman, and I don't want the world to look on her as the widow of a murderer. Mr. Carter, all I'm asking is that after I'm gone, in your spare time, will you try to prove that they executed the wrong man? Just for my wife's sake.
Johnny, if you're innocent, who do you think did rob the Fielding safe and kill Mrs. Fielding?
I don't know, Mr. Carter.
What? There's nobody you even suspect?
Well, the only one that... No, I'm not going to accuse somebody I'm not sure of. I've only got a few more hours to live, and I don't
If you want me to do anything for you, Johnny, you better tell me everything you can about this.
No. You'll find it for yourself once you start looking.
Well, I've got to have some kind of evidence to go on.
I don't have any. Cards were stacked so well against me, but go see Laura.
She's never stopped working for me. Maybe she knows more by now. Look here. If that's the case, why haven't you had a lawyer working for you right up to the last minute? Lawyers. I never had that kind of dough. Oh, a couple of shysters came around thinking maybe I had the Fielding jewels tucked away someplace. When they found out they weren't going to get a cut, they faded pretty fast. Even if you decide to do anything for me, Mr. Carter, I wouldn't be able to pay you for your trouble. You'd have to do it just as a favor to a dying man. You don't know where the jewels are? No, Mr. Carter. How could I know? I didn't do that job. Look, you go see Laura. She'll tell you whatever she can. All right. Time's up, Mr. Carter. All right, Garrett. Well, Johnny, I'll look into your case. I don't suppose you believe me. I bet he's been telling you an innocent man is being sent to the chair, huh? He tells that to everybody. Did it ever occur to you, Guard, that he might be telling the truth?
No. Why?
So long. Good luck. Oh, thanks for coming, Mr. Carter. And thanks for whatever you can do for me, sir. I'd very much like to know what happened to those Fielding jewels. Huh? Oh, yes. Well, maybe they'll turn up while you're investigating. Think so? I wonder. Say, Guard, how long is it until
8 hours, Johnny. Just 8 hours more.
Hello, Nick Carter's office.
Oh, Patsy, this is Nick.
Oh, Nick, thank heaven you called. This place is a madhouse. The office is filled with reporters. The newspaper and broadcasting companies have been telephoning. The district attorney has been trying to reach you.
Well, what's the trouble?
They want to know if you're going to try to get a reprieve for Johnny Waldron. The DA said he'd stick around his office all evening. And he's contacted the governor, and he'll be on tap ready.
Reprieve? Oh, great heaven, I just talked to the fellow. I don't have any evidence, none whatsoever. What's the matter with the DA?
Well, when Nick Carter goes to work on a case, even at the 0 hour, something usually pops.
I'll tell him to hang on to the hats a while. And you, Patsy, go up to the courthouse and get a transcript from the Walden trial. Dig up what you can out of our files about Waldron. I'm heading back from State's Prison right away. Meet you in front of the office.
All right, Nick. But we're going to have to work fast. They throw the switch in exactly 7 hours and 40 minutes. Waldron was really hired as a chauffeur. It was brought out of the trial that he ingratiated himself with the old lady every chance he got.
Oh?
You know, Mrs. Fielding was an invalid. Waldron used to carry her up and down stairs and waited on her and all that sort of thing. He was inside the house a great deal. Then, let's see now. Oh, the gun was traced to Mrs. Fielding's stepson, Tom Fielding. But the prints on the gun were Waldron's.
Her stepson lived there with her?
Yes, just the two of them. Waldron and all the other servants slept out and reported for work in the mornings at 8.
When was the body found?
On a Thursday night at 10 o'clock, the library of the house. Tom Fielding came home from his club and found her. The safe was open and the jewels and money gone. Of course, any of the servants, as well as Tom Fielding, might have known the combination of the safe. Mrs. Fielding often opened it in front of all of them. The defense harped on that at the trial, but Waldron's prints on the gun and his alibi being so flimsy cooked his goose.
I see.
How did Waldron strike you, Nick? Guilty?
It's the evidence that tells the tale in any case, Patsy. If we could find the party who has the missing Fielding jewels...
It would look pretty grim for that...
Yes, it wouldn't look good, that's sure.
Oh, Nick, look at the time.
5:50.
In 6 hours and 10 minutes, an innocent man may be electrocuted.
Oh, no, Patsy. No innocent man will be electrocuted for a crime he didn't do. Well, my name's Nick Carter. And here's our first stop, Patsy. His old tenement house. Laura Waldron lives here.
You're very nice to come to see me, especially today.
Mrs. Waldron, this is my assistant, Patsy Boone.
How do you do, Miss Boone? Hello, Mrs. Waldron. Won't you two sit down? Here, let me dust the chair. Oh, no, don't. It's perfectly all right. Since Johnny's been away, I haven't been as good a housekeeper as I used to be. I've no heart for it anymore.
Mrs. Waldron, I came to see you because...
I know you went to see my husband. I heard on the radio.
Yes, that's right.
But it's too late to get Johnny off, isn't it? Besides, we don't have any money to pay a famous detective. Mrs. Waldron, the only thing Nick Carter ever asks is that justice be done.
Now, Mrs. Waldron, tell me about Johnny. His habits, what he likes, what he doesn't like.
Johnny's good, Mr. Carter. You see, I know he's innocent.
But have you proof, Mrs. Waldron?
Proof? No. Just my heart tells me he wouldn't kill anybody. But more than that, I know because he was with me at the time the police say she was killed.
The prosecution tore his alibi to shreds.
Yes, a wife's testimony doesn't count for much in court. Oh, yet how thankful I am that he was with me that night, that I know he's innocent. You understand what I mean, don't you, Miss Bourne? You understand when I say the world can stand against your man, but if you know he's right and good and true, you... Mrs. Waldron, isn't there any way at all it can be proved that your husband was hung with you that night? No. No. You don't think of providing alibis for staying in your own home. There isn't much I know, but it's ours. Tom Fielding has offered to help me. Now Johnny's going to be...
Tom Fielding? You mean the stepson of the woman your husband's convicted of murdering?
Yes.
In what way has he offered to help you?
Money. He knows Johnny isn't a murderer. His testimony in court didn't follow that line, Mrs. Waldron. Of course not. Mr. Fielding had himself to protect. That's right, Nick. Fielding was under suspicion. Just this afternoon he called me again. And where's the jewels, I said to him. If my Johnny did it, where's the jewels and the money? Would I be begging for work if Johnny had done it? You're working now, Mrs. Waldron? Day work. Scrubbing up places where they don't ask too many questions. Oh, but I'd mop the streets of this town from one end to the other every day. Johnny didn't have to die. Oh, don't, Mrs. Waldron. Don't cry, please. Please don't cry. You have to excuse me. Just that. I can't stand to think. I'm counting the minutes and seconds now. Only a few more hours. Johnny will be gone.
Mrs. Waldron, I'd like to ask you another question.
All right. Maybe Nick can save your husband yet, you know. Oh, if he only could.
There isn't time left for me to chase down every witness and question them. Tell me, Mrs. Waldron, whom do you suspect of robbing and murdering your husband's late employer?
Who? Oh, Mr. Carter, I have no proof against anyone.
I didn't ask if you knew who murdered Mrs. Fielding. I only said, whom do you suspect?
But I have no right to suspect him.
Right? What do you mean?
He's been so kind and offered to help. Tom Fielding. That's who you think did it. Oh, I never dared think it out loud before. He was her stepson, you know, but she loved... Oh, they had their quarrels. Oh, they were just money spats. I'm not saying he did it, only...
Only what?
You talk to him, Mr. Carter.
All right, I will. We'll go right over to the Fielding house now.
Oh, but you won't find him at home at this hour, Miss Carter. He's always at the club at this time. I know from when Johnny used to drive for him. That's the old hunt club, isn't it? Yes.
10th and 5th. Mm-hmm. Come on, Patsy, let's hurry. Time's precious.
Okay. Goodbye, and thank you. I'll be right here waiting and praying you find the guilty man in time to save Johnny. Nick, there's something puzzling you. What is it? Didn't you think Mrs. Waldron's story made sense?
Well, it did, and it didn't.
But, Nick, doesn't it seem a bit odd for Tom Fielding to offer her money?
Yes, if that's true.
Well, then her story does make sense.
Patsy, it's not what Mrs. Waldron said that's bothering me. Something else.
Something else? Well, what is it, Nick?
I wish I knew. But there's something... Something that doesn't fit into the picture. It's in the back of my mind somewhere, but I can't quite get the key to it.
And if you ask me, Tom Fielding is the one who could straighten out a lot of things.
And he's the man we're going to tackle right now. Well, this hunt club's pretty swanky, isn't it?
Good evening, sir. Can I park your car for you?
Fancy place. Still has doorman and porter.
Oh, I beg your pardon, miss. Ladies aren't permitted in the old hunt club. I'm sorry.
Well, that lets you out, Patsy.
I guess it does.
You better wait for me here.
Yes, I guess I'll have to. Oh, Nick.
Hmm?
It's 8:15. Only 3 hours and 45 minutes to go until midnight. Ring again, Nick. Fielding wasn't at his club, so he's got to be home here.
Your womanly intuition isn't working right tonight, Betsy. Not a light in the whole house. I don't think anybody's home.
Oh, Mr. Fielding, if you only knew how much time we've wasted looking for you.
Well, Patsy, maybe we can uncover enough evidence without seeing Mr. Fielding face to face.
What are you going to do?
A little high-class lockpicking in the interest of Johnny Waldron and his wife, Laura. There we are. All right, come on in. Stay behind me.
Gee, it's dark in here.
Shut the door and I'll use my flash.
Where are we headed for?
The library.
Oh.
That's the room Mrs. Fielding was killed in, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. These old houses, the library is usually back this way, off the center hall. Come on.
All right. You think there's anybody beside us in the house?
I hope not. Here we are. This is the door. This must be it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is the library.
What are we looking for?
Well, right now, I'm looking for Mrs. Fielding's safe.
Safe?
Mm-hmm.
Safe. Oh, it's behind that portrait of her. That was in the testimony.
Yeah, you're right. Thanks, Betsy. Oh, turn on that small lamp, will you? Take a glance through the papers on the desk while I open this safe.
Say, Mrs. Fielding held her son and heir down while she was living. He's certainly making up for it now. Look at that wine cabinet. It's filled to the hilt with pre-war stuff. Oh, and look at this black market stuff. Have a gold-tipped cigarette, Miss Bowen. Yes, thank you, I will.
That's a shame on you. How'd you feel if Tom Fielding walked in here right now and caught you swiping his expensive cigarettes?
Only one, Nick. And for that matter, how would you feel if Mr. Fielding saw you about to open his safe? Oh, Nick!
You okay?
Yes, I guess so.
They shot through that window there. And the bullet went right in the side of the desk here.
Oh, we better get out of here, Nick.
Now, 1 minute, Betsy. Got to see what's in this safe. It's almost open now.
Well, who do you think shot at us, Mr. Fielding?
Oh, Patsy, will you pick that bullet out of the desk? It'll be a handy piece of evidence.
All right. So you're taking this attempt to murder us awful lightly, Nick.
I don't think it was murder, Patsy.
Not murder?
No. You were standing by the wine cabinet, not 4 feet from the window. And I was a perfect target standing here. No, Betsy, I think you'll find somebody who was just trying to scare us away.
Oh. Well, I got the bullet out. Looks like a .32.
There we are. Patsy.
Yes?
Look here.
The missing jewels. Oh, Nick.
Yes, right here in the safe.
Oh, Nick, that's wonderful.
Hey, Patsy, what are you doing?
Oh, I'm getting the DA on the phone for you. You've got the evidence for Johnny Waldron's reprieve.
Now, wait a minute.
I knew he wasn't guilty, Nick. Mrs. Waldron was telling the truth.
Patsy, put down that phone.
Yes, Nick.
Now, get me police headquarters first. I want a general alarm sent out for Tom Fielding.
But Johnny Waldron.
I still have 2 hours, Patsy. If Waldron's innocent, I'll prove it in time to save him from the chair.
Nick, why should you want to talk to Mrs. Waldron again when you haven't asked for the reprieve? Only make her feel worse.
There's something about her that doesn't add up, Patsy. And I've got to know what it is before I go any further. This is her door, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Nick Carter, your thinking on this case is beyond me.
Well, Patsy, it's hard to explain. When I don't know myself what the missing link is, how can I explain it to you?
But you found the jewels. Tom Fielding had them in his safe. Why, it's obvious, Nick. He didn't get along with his stepmother, and he... Nick, what are you doing?
Want to open Mrs. Waldron's door?
Oh, no, don't do that, Nick. I'm sure she's here. She's probably been crying and doesn't want to see anybody. Let me call her first. Mrs. Waldron? Mrs. Waldron?
Oh, sorry, Patsy. We haven't any time to waste. Now, let's see. Where's the light switch?
It's here by the door. Oh, she isn't here.
So it seems.
Nick.
Hmm?
Look here. There's a gold-tipped cigarette in this ashtray, the same kind we saw at Fielding's house.
Let's have it. No lipstick on it. Kind of pinched in near at the end.
He's been here. I never would have believed it of him.
Believe what?
Well, that a man like Fielding would come to a place like this. Why, a man like that wouldn't get his hands dirty putting them on the doorknob of a hovel like this.
Say that again, Patsy.
What? Well, a man like Fielding wouldn't dirty his hands on the doorknob of a place like...
I got it. Patsy, you just gave me the key I've been looking for. Come on. We've got to get back to Fielding's library or there'll be another murder. You know, Patsy, there are times when having a siren in this car comes in handy. And tonight's one of them. Hope we're in time.
Do you think the police have picked Fielding up yet, or do you think he'll be at his home?
He's at home. I'll bet my bottom dollar on that.
Nick, do you know what time it is?
Stop worrying about the time and come on.
I'm right with you.
The place is still dark.
There's a little light shining in the hallway.
He's here, all right. Watch your step, Patsy.
Don't worry about me.
I slipped the latch on the front door when we left. See if it's been bolted. No, still open. All right, come on.
Where do you think he is?
The library, probably.
Oh, I hear someone, Nick.
Yeah, they're both here.
Oh, that's Mrs. Waldron's voice. Open the door, Nick.
No, it's locked. I'll try to pick it.
Oh, Nick, hurry.
I am hurrying.
He's killed her.
There.
Oh, Mrs. Waldron.
Oh, thank heaven you came. He was just going to shoot me. I got the gun away from him. And...
You shot him.
Yes, Mr. Carter. But it was self-defense. Anyone can see that.
Oh, I'm so sorry for you, Mrs. Waldron.
It was worth it. It was worth it. Now Johnny will be safe. He won't have to die in the chair.
Nick, you've only got 7 minutes to call it. 7 minutes to 12.
Hurry, Mr. Carter.
Just a minute. Calm yourself, Mrs. Waldron. Here, have a cigarette.
A cigarette? All right.
May I light it for you?
Thanks. Wait a minute till I get my cigarette holder out of my bag.
So, you do use a cigarette holder. I thought so.
Nick, the time is getting awfully short for your call to the DA.
I'm not going to make that call.
Why, Nick,
not going to make it.
No, Mrs. Waldron. It was a nice frame-up you and your husband tried against Tom Fielding, but it didn't work.
Frame-up?
Yes, frame-up. You and Johnny staged this whole thing to get him a last-minute retreat. It was pretty clever, but you made a couple of mistakes. For example, this gold-tipped cigarette butt I found in your apartment tonight.
What about it?
When I found this butt in your apartment, all pinched in at the end from having been smoked in a holder, I knew you'd lied about not having seen Tom Fielding. These particular cigarettes are made to order for him.
I didn't leave it there.
I couldn't be sure of that until I found that you used a cigarette holder. Then I knew I was right. You did leave it here.
Go on, prove it.
Another thing. Patsy, take a look at Mrs. Waldron's hands.
My hands? Why, they're beautiful. Beautifully manicured.
Exactly. Mrs. Waldron, with hands like yours, you don't scrubs for a living. That dingy apartment of yours is merely a front.
Look out, Nick.
Gun, huh?
Yes, and I know how to use this gun, too, and I'm going to. Oh!
So sorry to hate you, Mrs. Waldron. Patsy.
Yes?
Take a look at Tom Fielding. See if he's still alive.
Right, Nick.
You haven't got anything on me. You can't get
He's
me
still
for
breathing,
anything.
Nick.
Good. Go on for the ambulance, quick.
Okay. Oh, but Nick, can you prove this charge against Mrs. Waldron? Can you be positive she and her husband framed Fielding?
Not yet, Patsy, but I'm so sure I'm right that I'll risk my reputation on it.
But, Nick, as long as there's the slightest doubt about it, shouldn't you call the DA and give Johnny Waldron the benefit of the doubt?
No, Patsy. As far as I'm concerned, there's no doubt whatsoever. I'm so sure I'll even risk Johnny's life on it.
Hello, Nick Carter's office. Oh, yes, Lieutenant. Yes? Yes? It was. He is. Well, I see. Well, thank you, Lieutenant. Yes, I'll tell Nick. Goodbye.
Was that the report from police headquarters, Patsy?
Yes, it was Lieutenant Riley. And you were right, Nick. That gun you took from Mrs. Waldron was registered in Johnny's name. And she lied about taking the gun away from Fielding and shooting him in self-defense. Fielding's fingerprints weren't on the gun anywhere, but hers were all over it.
Did they check with the bullet when you picked out of that desk? The one that was fired at us?
Yes, and it came from the same gun.
Fine. And what about Fielding? Did Riley say?
He's going to live. What's more, he regained consciousness long enough to make a statement.
Good.
Oh, Nick, that Mrs. Waldron was certainly clever. She was planting the jewels in Fielding's safe when he came in the room and caught her. So she
held him at the point of her gun and knocked him out, bound his wrists and ankles, gagged him, and hid him away in another room.
What? How did you know that?
Very simple, Patsy. The marks where he'd been tied were still on his wrists when I examined him, and also there was a bump on his head.
Nick, you're always holding out on me. And one other thing. What made you think Fielding's life would be in danger way back when we were in Mrs. Waldron's apartment the second time?
Sure, sir. Well, Patsy, after your inspired remark about hands, I suddenly realized what it was about Mrs. Waldron that puzzled me. It was her hands. I knew that with hands like hers, she couldn't be earning her living scrubbing floors.
Oh, I see.
And if she were lying about that, it was very probable she was lying about everything. And the whole thing was a plot to make Fielding look guilty.
But why should that make you suddenly afraid that something might be going to happen to Fielding?
Patsy, if she and Johnny were so anxious to get Johnny a reprieve that they were willing to give up the jewels to make it look as if Fielding were really the guilty man, it was entirely possible that she might go further and kill Fielding and try to make it look as if he killed himself.
But how would that help Johnny Waldron?
Well, if it was done right, it would look as if he were remorseful at having let Johnny take the blame. And she almost got away with it.
But she didn't, because Nick arrived in the nick of time. You're a wonderful detective, Mr. Carter.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, at midnight last night, Johnny Waldron went to the electric chair to pay for the crime of having murdered Mrs. Cornelius Fielding. His dramatic last-minute attempt to get a reprieve failed, thanks to the quick action of that master detective, Nick Carter. In those few short hours that Carter was actually on the case, he found the missing jewels, uncovered a well-laid plot between Johnny and his wife to pin the murder on Tom Fielding and save Fielding's life. Tom Fielding and the entire community owe a debt of gratitude to Nick Carter.
This has been another of the strange adventures of Nick Carter, Master Detective, which are brought to you regularly at this time by WOR Mutual. Well, Nick, what happens in your next week's story?
I want to tell you the story of the time that I quite accidentally stumbled onto a terrible crime. Or to be more correct, I stumbled onto evidence that a terrible crime had been committed.
That doesn't sound like a very unusual thing for you to do.
Except for one little fact, Mr. Ripley. We didn't know where or when the crime had been committed.
In spite of the fact that we heard the story of the murder from the victim's own lips.
As a matter of fact, we even heard the murder committed.
And we were powerless to do anything about it.
If you're trying to make me curious about it...
We are.
You're certainly succeeding.
Well, it's as unusual a tale as I've had the pleasure of telling in a long while, I assure you. So until next week, so long.
So long, folks.
And so long to you, Nick and Patsy. In the strange adventure you have just heard, Nick Carter was impersonated by Lon Clark, Patsy by Helen Choate. The story was written for Nick Carter by Barth Conray. Original music was played by Lou White. The entire production was under the direction of Jock McGregor. Next week, at this same time, listen to another curious experience of Nick Carter entitled
Records of Death, or Nick Carter and the Mystery of the Unclaimed Box.
This story is a copyrighted feature of Street and Smith Publications, Incorporated. The Return of Nick Carter is produced in the studios of WOR and is broadcast over most of these stations every Saturday evening at 7 o'clock Eastern Wartime. And don't forget that the adventures of Nick's adopted son, Chick Carter, are broadcast over most of these stations Mondays through Fridays at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Wartime. This is Mutual.
This I believe. Thomas B. Dowd is one of the hard-working and important but unpublicized men behind the scenes in baseball. Since 1946, he has been traveling secretary of the Boston Red Sox. Before that, he taught physics at Holy Cross, coached football at Loyola University in Maryland, served as a college and professional football official, held an executive position with a commercial airline. This is what Tom Dowd believes.
The basis of my belief is shaped by a most unforgettable character, a woman. The story begins with a little girl, 2 years of age, as she stood in the country cemetery on a raw December day, holding her 4-year-old brother's hand and listening to a kind priest as he prayed over the grave of her mother. It is quite possible that she didn't understand this experience until later, but there is no doubt that she felt it with the instinctive wisdom of a child. When the prayers at the grave were completed, this little girl was separated from her brother and taken to an orphanage, where for 7 years, long as they must have been to her, she, with other orphans, was shepherded up and down church aisles in the hope that somebody would be attracted to her and single her out for adoption. One Sunday, shortly after her 9th birthday, the girl was taken into the hearts of a couple who had little to offer of material things, but a world of love to give. Her philosophy of life, because of the kindness of these two, was predicated on a philosophy of thankfulness, and she dedicated her life to doing for these two people, each thing done bringing to her happiness and joy, and to them material comfort. This little girl grew with dignity to the state of womanhood and married. She found a new and lasting kind of love with her fine husband. And although the first years of this union were filled and strained with worries, they carried on, doing things as one. Their oldest child died at the age of 12. There were business difficulties. There was a continuous struggle to get on the road of stability and success. The sky never seemed to be completely cleared of its clouds of illness and worry. All this necessitated tremendous personal sacrifices, which were so readily made so that their children might not only be clothed and fed, but also would be educated. Her dominant philosophy, so developed in these trying years, was an understanding of God's ways. She was a happy mother, tender and considerate of her husband and children, unselfish in everything she did. Her spirit of optimism and the joy and pleasure she derived from the littlest of things made her stand apart from all others that I have known. She had a trust in God and man, one as the giver of all things, and the other as a provider of material and earthly things. This trust was a beacon to all who knew her. In all things she did, she looked for no personal reward, but as in the case of such a living philosopher, she received a reward that was above all expectations. Her belief in God as the giver of all things was exceeded only by her realization that the time would come when she would be turning to Him for eternity. With her family gathered about her deathbed, she listened to their prayers and those of her oldest son, a priest, as he asked God to accept her spirit. And just as he pleaded, "Dear God, into thy hands I commit the soul of my mother," she passed on to eternity. If one were not impressed with this person who embodied the humanitarianism of the Good Samaritan, he could find, in my opinion, no place in the world of good-thinking people. That I was impressed, and that I have attempted in some way in my personal life to follow the concept of the goodness that was hers, shouldn't be too hard a task, since this unforgettable woman was my mother.
There the creed of Thomas B. Dowd of Boston, Massachusetts. His devout faith has proved an invaluable asset to him in the world of business and sports, as well as in his personal life.
Night's Beat.
Hi, this is Randy Stone. I cover the night beat for the Chicago Star. Stories start in many different ways. But tonight's story began when one man tried to destroy another with the strangest weapon of all, darkness.
Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy as Randy Stone.
When your job is to walk into the darkness and discover what makes a city tick, you pick up some mighty strange friends. The winos dreaming of a muscatel paradise in cold, dark doorways. The petty larceny boys with their fast deals. The painted little dames defying the world with their brassy laughter. The homeless, the hopeless. In the city, night is for the lost. And sometimes you feel a hunger to be with someone of the everyday world, some nice, well-adjusted soul who's got a reason for waking up tomorrow morning. I guess that's why I dropped in to see Bessie Chatfield tonight. Bessie's a little gray-haired librarian who has charge of a small storefront library on Huron Street. No one around this time of night but Bessie and a young fellow in a gray raincoat alone at a reading table.
Mr. Stone. Well, we haven't seen you, in such a long time.
Well, since Forever Amber, you haven't had the kind of high-type literature that interests me.
And when you finally do drop in, look what time you get here. 10 o'clock. Right when I have to go over and start turning out the lights.
I timed it that way so I could get you behind those bookcases, away from that fellow with the reading desk.
Well, I'm afraid your timing is about 35 years off, Mr. Stone. These light switches. Why do they always put them up so high?
Aren't you going to tell that fellow it's time to go home?
This is the way we tell them. We flick off the lights and then flick them on again. First off, like this.
No, don't do that. No!
What?
Turn the lights on quick. Let me handle him.
What's the idea of doing that, mister? That's supposed to be smart or something.
Oh, take it easy, fella. Take it easy.
Or did he pay you to do it? Is that the deal?
Huh?
You tell George Brewster that the game doesn't amuse me anymore. You tell him if he keeps that up, I'll kill him.
Oh, wait. I turned the lights out. It's closing time.
What? Closing time? Oh. Yes, of course.
What's wrong with you, buddy? You sick or something?
Sick, yes, that's me, sick. Only mine's a childhood disease. Childhood.
No, what in the world was that?
I don't know. Ever seen him before?
He's come in a couple of times this week. Spent all the time reading some reference books at the table. Seemed to be such a nice, polite young man. Considerate, kindly.
Let's take a look at those books.
Oh, my heavens, my heart is beating a mile a minute. And did you see his face? It frightened me.
He was even more scared than we were.
Of what?
These are books he was reading?
Yes.
The Mind in Limbo, Abnormal Psychology, Modern Psychiatry.
Why would he want books like this?
Maybe he was looking for somebody in these books.
Who?
Himself, Bessie? Probably himself. Bessie was pretty upset, so after she locked up for the night, I started walking her toward the elevator station over on Lake Street. We'd walked a couple of blocks through the dark, empty streets when suddenly Bessie grabbed my arm.
Mr. Stone, that man down the street, looking in that store window. That's him.
Oh, yes, same gray raincoat, same lad.
And look, Mr. Stone, what's that in his hand?
That's a piece of pipe or something.
He's breaking that store window.
Yeah, you wait right here, honey.
Be careful, Mr. Stone, be careful.
The fellow was reaching through the broken window glass for whatever it was that had struck his fancy. He heard me coming and turned toward me. The wan streetlight did something to his face. It seemed twisted and torn. Blood was running down his hand where the glass had cut it. Then I saw what he'd taken from the window. A gun. What's the idea, pal? He spun around and started running for the elevator station down the block. And in the best tradition of the Rover boys, I stayed right on his tail. He turned back to see how I was doing. He stumbled over a trash can near the curb. I caught up with him, grabbing his arm.
Let go of me. Leave me alone. Let go of me.
He slashed the gun across my face and began running again. I stopped long enough to take a quick inventory of my teeth. Up above, I heard the elevator train coming into the station. The young fellow had reached the station steps and was going up fast, trying to make that train. I reached for one of his legs. He turned and gave it to me right in the stomach. I folded up, and I just sat there. I listened to the train pull away with the fellow on it, and remembered what Bessie had said about him being such a nice, polite young man. After a while, I began to feel somewhat human again. I notified the police what had happened, and they sent a squad car out. After they left, I remembered something, a name this nice, polite young man had been throwing around. George Brewster. I found a phone book in a cigar store. There were 3 George Brewsters. The first number didn't answer. I tried the second.
Hello?
I'd like to speak to George Brewster.
He's not in right now. Is there any message?
Who is this?
I'm his sister.
Is anything wrong?
Well, if this is the right George Brewster, something is wrong. Is there any reason why a young fellow should want to kill your brother?
Oh, that would be Morrison. Oh, I warned George.
Morrison, huh?
Tom Morrison.
Where does he live?
Our old apartment, 612 Hamlin Avenue. What makes you think he wants to kill George?
Well, this character broke into a store tonight and stole a gun. I sort of think he had your brother in mind when he did it.
Oh, no. What am I going to do?
Well, lady, I know what I'm going to do. As fast as I hang up and get another nickel into this phone, I'm going to call the police.
Oh, I feel so bad. It's not really Morrison's fault, poor man.
Oh, no. He's just a prince of a fellow. Goodbye, lady. I've got to make a call. But then it turned out that I didn't have a nickel. And on the way to the counter for change, I started wondering why the sister of the man he was going to kill felt sorry for Morrison. And why Bessie thought he was such a sweet character. And, well, the night was young, and 612 Hamlin Avenue couldn't wait, and I could call the cops later. 612 North Hamlin was a second-floor flat on the north side. I got there a few minutes after 11 that night. All the windows were lit up. I rang the bell and I waited. I felt a little bead of sweat zigzagging down my face like I didn't have any place to go.
Yes? Oh, it's you.
No, let's not close the door just yet. In fact, let's push it open all the way.
What do you want?
My 2 front teeth and a few ribs.
Get out of here.
Now, look, pal, don't tempt me. I came against my better judgment to listen to what you've got to say. If I leave now, the only place I'm going is the nearest police station.
Police station. I guess maybe that would be the best.
What?
Otherwise, I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, I guess you better call the police, mister.
What do you think you're doing, calling my bluff?
The phone's right behind you.
Okay, buddy, you asked for it. Sure this is the way you want it?
It's better this way. I'm at the end of my rope. I don't want to kill him.
George Brewster?
Yes, George Brewster. I know how it'll end if he doesn't stop.
Stop what?
Call the police, mister. You'd be doing me a favor.
Since when have I got to do you favors?
Well, why aren't you calling?
I'm an Eagle Scout in good standing. I haven't done my good deed for today.
You can't help me, mister.
Stone is the name. What makes you so sure I can?
Thanks for even wanting to. After that bad time I gave you.
Bad time? That's the understatement of the year.
Well, I was panic-stricken. It got me half crazy.
Well, what have you got to lose if you tell me about it?
No.
Okay.
Wait. I don't know. I'm like a drowning man grasping at straws. Look, maybe if you talk to Brewster, told him what he's doing to me, maybe he'd leave me alone.
Well, you never can tell. But I'd have to know what I'm talking about.
It's quite a story, mister. These lights. Look at them. Bright as the sun, aren't they? Lamps. Overhead chandeliers. Look at them.
I'd hate to see your light bills.
Like some men need drugs. That's how I need these lights.
Come again?
My sanity depends on it. My very sanity.
On these lights?
It's a sickness. You've even got a name for it. Noctophobia, it's called. Fear of darkness.
Fear of darkness? That's for kids. No, I take that back. I'm sorry.
Don't be. I quite agree. Kids. Or neurotic women. But in a man of my age, it's quite ridiculous. When the day starts drawing to a close, when the night starts crowding in.
Have you been to a doctor?
Sure, I've been to doctors. They tell me I shouldn't feel too badly. Plenty of people with my trouble. A hangover from childhood. An illness. Like heart trouble is an illness. I'll take the heart trouble.
Maybe you haven't gone to the right kind of a doctor. Maybe psychiatry could help you.
Nothing's going to help me. George Brewster's going to see to that.
What about this, Brewster?
He's trying to destroy me. With the strangest weapon of all.
The strangest weapon of all?
Yes. His weapon is the night.
You were listening to Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy. In a moment, we'll return to Night Beat and Randy Stone. But first, we'd like to call your attention to another great NBC mystery adventure program. Every Sunday, You'll want to hear the exciting new Christopher London series with screen actor Glenn Ford in the title role. Stories for Christopher London are furnished by Earl Stanley Gardner, one of the most famous mystery story writers in America. There is no doubt about the greatness of Gardner's stories, and with the superb acting of Glenn Ford, Christopher London should be must-listening for every mystery fan. Make a listening date now to hear the exciting adventures of Christopher London every Sunday over most of these same NBC stations. And now, back to Frank Lovejoy as Randy Stone in Night Beat.
It was a weird feeling standing in Morrison's brilliantly lighted parlor listening to him tell me about his terror of darkness. A sturdy, healthy-looking man trapped by a childhood nightmare. I felt guilt listening to him like I was eavesdropping into a dark corner of his mind that was nobody's business but his own. And yet he had to tell me because he needed help. Because George Brewster was using Morrison's fear to destroy him.
I was sent to Chicago by our company to replace Brewster, Stone. Till he found out why I was here, he couldn't do enough for me. He even got me this apartment.
Greater love hath no man.
Then he found out what the setup was. He changed fast enough.
How did he find out about this fear of yours?
Well, I'm telling you how. The other night, the two of us were working alone in the big vault down at the office, working on some old account or other. The overhead light, it blew out.
Uh-huh.
Well, it was so sudden, I couldn't help myself. I tried to keep calm, but... Well, it's like something tearing me to pieces inside. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't... Finally, I had to run.
So he found out
No, he wasn't sure, but... started him thinking.
Yes, I see.
Next afternoon, he came over to my desk. He was jovial, friendly, like he'd been in the beginning. Saying we'd been at each other's throats long enough. Inviting me to have dinner with him that night. Right from work, we went to his favorite spot on the north side, a place called the Catacombs. I began feeling uneasy the moment I entered.
How do you like this place, Tom?
That's okay. It's fine.
It's been a favorite of mine for years. One spot in particular, the wine cellar. How do you feel about wine?
I like it all right.
Come along with me. I'm a wine man from way back.
Say, George, I wanted to talk to you about that little outburst last night.
They have a different wine cellar here with a different temperature for each type of wine.
I haven't been sleeping well, you see.
Me, I prefer a Riesling myself. Well, here we are.
Huh?
At the white wine cellar. We'll select our own brand for our supper. Here, I'll open the door. Yeah, this is a privilege only an old customer like me can get away with. Come on.
Dark down there.
That's why they've got this candle here on the ledge. Got a match?
Why?
A match, Tom.
Yeah. Here.
Okay. I'll get this candle going. Good. Now, let's go downstairs.
George, you think we should do this on our own?
Done it hundreds of times. Coming here for the last 10 years. Well, now let's go down these stairs then. Careful.
Yeah. George, I was explaining about last night.
The candle casts funny shadows, doesn't it? You notice how cool it is? 20 feet below street level here.
Look, I want to talk about last night. I don't want any misunderstanding.
Huh?
It's just that I've been working pretty hard.
Look, Tom. Would it make you feel better if you showed me you're not afraid of the dark? Okay, you can show me. I'll blow out the candle.
What are you trying to prove, Brewster?
Nothing at all. It's your idea.
Where are those matches I gave you?
You gave me some matches? Well, I must have lost them.
It's not going to work, Brewster. I'm not insane, you know. I can stay down here until you're quite satisfied.
Funny, isn't it, about the darkness? The way it seems to close in on you. The way you start thinking you can't breathe. I know, I can see how someone could... What's the matter, Tom?
This is ridiculous.
Something so suffocating about a dark room.
Stop it. Stop it.
Only the heavy, smothering blackness.
Stop it.
Where are you going, Tom? Anything wrong? Anything wrong? Anything wrong?
Ran out of that cellar like a kid, like a kid scared to death, Stone.
That was a rotten thing for him to do.
Well, he's fighting for his job, Stone. He's not too young anymore. Can't start all over again, so he'll do anything.
Oh, great.
I'm sure he's told the people down at work. I'm sure they're all laughing at me behind my back. You don't know what that does to me.
I can imagine.
Today I found a new desk lamp on my desk, courtesy of George Brewster. Every day, something like that.
Did you ask him why he's doing it?
He won't admit he's doing anything. Says it's all my imagination. Maybe I ought to see a doctor. Or better still, maybe a change of climate would help. Well, I'd leave town in a minute. I mean, my future's at stake, too. Before I let him drive me crazy, I'll kill him.
Well, I'm going now. I'm going to talk to this bird. Where does he live?
Out in the suburbs, Lake Forest. He lives with his sister.
All right, I'll give you a ring as soon as I've seen him.
Mr. Stone, I hope you can do some good.
Yeah. Oh. Say, I almost forgot something.
What?
That gun you made off with.
Well,
Maybe if we're lucky, we can talk the store owner out of pressing charges. I'll try.
That was a crazy thing to do. I was so desperate.
Wouldn't have done you much good. When they put them in the window, they never loaded. I'll let you in on a secret. If I hadn't known that, I wouldn't have been such a hero coming here tonight.
I'll let you in on a secret, Mr. Stone. You can get bullets without a license. The gun's loaded now.
Oh, great. All right, go and get it for me.
All right. Yes, I want to give it to you. It's in my bedroom.
He started for the bedroom. And then it was almost like a comedy routine where, after the big build-up, the punchline comes right out on cue. The moment he entered the other room, every light in the house suddenly went out.
What happened to the lights?
Take it easy. Where's the fuse box?
I don't know. Never had any occasion to use it. Besides, if it was the fuse, all the lights wouldn't go out. It wasn't you.
Use your head. How could I do it?
I'm getting out of here. All the lights out, too. Stone,
well, maybe something went wrong with the central wire.
But why should it happen exactly now? Wait.
Huh?
The downstairs apartment. Their lights are on. If it was the wire...
All right. Let's ask them where the fuse box is.
Yes? Oh, Mr. Morris.
My lights went out. It might be a fuse. Where are the fuse boxes for these apartments?
Out in the back. I'll get a flashlight and show you. Here we are. The fuse box is right here below our meters. Whenever the people from the light company come out, they have a dickens of a time finding it.
Will you hold the flashlight steady and let me take a look?
Wait a minute, Stone. Lower the flashlight just a little.
Huh?
It's not the fuse. Look at the master switch on my meter. Look at the one of Mrs. Graham's.
Why, somebody pulled your switch down to off.
Yes. Yes, someone surely did.
Well, here, let me push it up. There.
And look upstairs. All your lights are on again.
That's probably some kids playing a joke.
How do you suppose the rascals ever found it? It's so well hidden.
I've got a theory that all kids come equipped with a special radar for finding things like this.
Mrs. Graham, tell this gentleman who used to live in my apartment before I did.
Why?
Tell him.
Why, you know. He even got the apartment for you. Your friend, Mr. Brewster. But what is that?
Tom, that doesn't prove he did it.
For me, it does, Stone. For me, it does.
Morrison went around to the front of his house and up the stairs to his flat. I waited in the hallway until he came down again. He looked different. His face was hard and set. His eyes were like chunks of glass punched into the flesh.
What are you waiting for, Stone?
When we were so rudely interrupted, you were going for the gun.
I've got it now.
Oh, yes. Hand it over. I'll bring it back.
No, thanks.
Well, where are you going and what are you going to do?
I'm fighting for my sanity, my life. He's never going to do this to me again. Never.
I can't let you do that.
You're not going to have to.
The minute you leave, I'm going to call every cop in the book.
Yes, that's what you do, isn't it?
Yes.
Then I'd better give you the gun.
This could become habit forming. I dropped to my knees in the hallway, and then the hallway subdivided like something under a microscope, and there were 2 hallways, and then there were 4. And then everywhere I looked, there were hallways. Morrison tried to push me aside and get by me, only it was a whole circle of Morrisons. I grabbed at his legs to hold him back and was like grabbing at a centipede. Then all the Morrisons in all the hallways brought all their guns down on my one poor head. And that was it, brothers and sisters, that was it.
Feeling better, Mr. Stone?
Oh, if I felt any better, I'd call an embalmer. Oh, what a business.
I heard a commotion, and I came out, and you were lying here.
Oh, this my head or is it a cantaloupe?
Oh, how did it happen, and where's Mr. Morrison?
Oh, Morrison, yes. How long ago did you hear this commotion?
Oh, just a couple of minutes ago. You came out of it real fast.
Yeah, I've got an iron constitution. Have you got a phone?
Well, yes, but don't you think you
Come on, lady. Grab my head, put it back on nice and neat, and let's get to that phone. Hello, this is the fellow who called you before, Miss Brewster, about Morrison and your brother.
Oh, yes.
He's not there yet, huh?
No, my brother is...
I don't mean your brother, I mean Morrison.
What? No. Is he...
Oh, yes, he sure is. Now, give me your address, and the minute you hang up, get away from your house as fast as you can. Morrison's got a gun, and he's half crazy.
Maybe we should call the police.
Well, maybe we should, but I'm not going to. They'd throw the book at him, 10 years for attempted murder. I think I can stop him before he does anything.
Oh, I can't tell you how sorry I am about this.
Lady, you and your brother should be. The cab got me out to their Lake Forest house in less than 20 minutes. The house was on a hill, and a flagstone path wound round and round for a city block until it reached the front porch. As I ran up the walk, my head started rattling like a handful of pennies in a tin cup. I felt weak and tired. All the time I tried not to think about what I'd find when I reached the house. And now I was at the end of the path, walking toward the front porch. A nerve deep in my throat started jangling like a burglar alarm. The house was in darkness, and Morrison was standing beneath a little porch light, his gun pointed right at me.
You won't quit, will you, Stone?
What have you done with him, Tom?
He hasn't done anything with him yet, Mr. Stone.
Huh? Who is...
I'm sitting over here at the end of the porch. I'm George's sister.
Oh. I didn't see you in the dark. Why didn't you get away like I told you?
I won't hurt her. It's him. He'll be coming along soon.
George would never have done what he did. I begged him not to. To take advantage of a man's weakness.
Well, Mr. Brewster is coming home.
What?
His car is stopping at the bottom of the hill. Now he's starting the long climb.
Morrison, listen to me.
You just sit there, the both of you. And I must insist that you be very quiet.
Please, listen to me. Please. Please.
Keep coming up that path, Brewster. It's a long, long way.
You must listen to me.
Morrison.
You don't know what you're
waiting
doing.
near the porch light, the gun
George
in his
hurt
hand.
you. He shouldn't have done that.
Far below the small
What
figure
you're
of
doing
George
is
Brewster
so
making a long, slow
You
climb.
realize that you're going to kill George because he found out about your fear. But don't you see? George is afraid, too. Of bigger things. Of being 53 and seeing his whole life going down
Brewster
the
had
drain.
stopped at the first landing to
That's
catch
why
his
he
breath.
hurt you.
Now he was
That's
climbing
what
up the
was
path
wrong.
again.
He was fighting.
Maybe
for
100
life.
steps
That's
from
what
his
he was
death.
fighting for you.
I found myself counting the steps.
Why are you afraid of the darkness, Mark? Don't you see? If you weren't afraid, George couldn't hurt you anymore. Please, listen to me.
Keep your voice down. If you try to warn him, you both die, too. Keep coming, Brewster.
Yes, he kept coming. No more than 70 steps now.
What is there to fear about the dark?
The girl's voice going on and on.
Nothing.
Brewster getting closer.
All it does is hide the world.
Less than 50 steps now. 40 steps. 30 steps.
If you believe in God, if you believe in your own soul, how can you fear the night? What is there in the darkness that can hurt you? There's such peace in the darkness. After the heat of day is gone, the rush, the tumult, the struggle, you can breathe easy again. You can let the tightness inside unwind.
He's almost close enough.
Listen to me. Please listen.
It's not going to work, Miss Brewster. I'm going to try and rush.
Wait.
Miss Brewster.
There we are, Miss Brewster.
No. You must see me in the light.
I tell you, stay with...
Tom. Look at her.
I didn't realize.
I'm not afraid. What right have you to fear?
Julie, is that you on the porch?
What right have you to fear, Mr. Marston?
What right?
Oh, what a long climb. Must be getting old. Well, what are you doing here, Morrison? And who's this?
Oh, don't mind me. I just came along for the ride.
What's this all about?
I just came to say goodbye, Brewster.
You're leaving?
Yes. I'm going back and tell them you've done a good job here. It's not fair to replace you after so many years.
You sure nobody scared you away, Morrison?
Look at him, Brewster. Does he look like he's afraid? I don't know if Julie cured Morrison of his fear of darkness. Cure is a pretty strong word. But maybe she helped. I kind of think so. I do know this. It's going to be mighty hard for Tom to fear the darkness, knowing Julie is not afraid. But neither Tom nor I will ever forget what we saw as the porch light lit up her face. Julie Brewster, who did not fear the darkness, was blind. And now that part of the story they always print in heavy type, the moral. And don't smile so indulgently. Morals are very nice things. Some of my best friends have morals. You know, seriously, Julie's whole life is a moral in itself. Trying to top it is like trying to follow Al Jolson with a Mammy song. The best you can do is tip your hat to the fellow who wrote, "Out of the night that covers me, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul." He must have had someone like Julie in mind. Well, 4 o'clock in the morning, stale cup of coffee, a tired sandwich, and a story to dictate, and I worry about my unconquerable soul. Ah, me. Give me a rewrite.
Night Beat, a new dramatic series, stars Frank Lovejoy as Randy Stone. Night Beat is written by Larry Marcus and directed by Warren Lewis. Music by Frank Worth. Listen next week at this same time and every week as Randy Stone searches through the city for the strange stories waiting for him in the darkness. The stories that come out of the shadows to find their way into Night Beat. Stay tuned for Brian Donlevy and Dangerous Assignment on...
The makers of Camel Cigarettes present Dick Powell as Richard Diamond, Private Detective. More people smoke Camels than any other cigarette.
The reasons behind Camel's great popularity are flavor and mildness. Smoke only Camels for 30 days and see how rich and flavorful Camels are pack after pack. See how mild they are, how well they get along with your throat week in and week out. Then you'll know why Camels are America's most popular cigarette.
transcribed, is Richard Diamond, Private Detective, starring Dick Powell.
In my business, nearly every case I get mixed up in has some kind of an interesting angle. If it isn't some woman who spotted a neighbor floating bodies in his bathtub, or a lonely husband who got lonely because he disposed of his wife with a meat axe, then it might be a case like the one I got mixed up in last week.
Mr. Richard Diamond?
I agreed with him, watched him close the door and walk into my office. I looked, closed my eyes, looked again. I made up my mind I wasn't having hallucinations. He couldn't have weighed more than 140, a kindly face that supported the sad sort of a smile. He was dressed well, and his actions seemed perfectly normal. But there was one little thing that bothered me. He was a good 8 feet tall.
You seem a little disturbed, Mr. Diamond.
Oh, it's nothing, no, just a high fever. About 110, I'd say.
You've noticed something out of the ordinary?
Oh, no.
I work for a carnival, Mr. Diamond.
Oh?
My name is Adam Rayburn. I'm billed as the thinnest man in the world.
And you must come close to being the tallest.
7 feet 11 in my stocking feet.
Well, I'm glad to know you, Mr. Rayburn. What can I do for you?
I wish to hire you.
I charge $100 a day in expenses.
That's agreeable.
$100 in advance. That's just so I won't have to take time off from your trouble and sell some of my steel stock.
Here's $100.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rayburn. You are now the proud owner of a pedigreed private detective.
I suppose you'd like to know about my problem.
Well, it's cheaper than letting me guess.
There's a girl who works at the carnival. Her name is Rowena.
Rowena?
Professional name. You've heard of her?
Oh, yeah. She's a dancer, isn't she?
That's right. We've been in love for some time. Oh, she's a wonderful girl. Beautiful. All that any man
I watched him
could
talk
ever...
about her, and I swallowed a big lump in my throat. Adam Rayburn, almost 8 feet tall, was reminiscing about his love with all the sincerity of a handsome Romeo. I'd seen Rowena, and I could certainly understand why the skinny guy had it bad. But being a pretty practical guy myself, Adam just didn't look like the type a girl like Rowena would go for. But I always say you never know about some things.
She's in trouble, Mr. Diamond.
Oh, what kind of trouble, Adam?
Oh, that's why I came to you. I don't know, and she won't tell me. She won't let me help her. But it's obvious whatever trouble she's got in is more than she can handle.
And you want me to find out what it is?
Yes.
Well, I'll do my best.
Oh, thank you. It's very important to me.
He told me about the carnival and where I could find Rowena. He also warned me that if Rowena found out, she would be more than mildly unhappy. He thanked me again, shook my hand, and went out of the office. I closed up, went home, and napped until 6. Then I headed for the carnival.
Hey, step right up on the inside. It is the most amazing spectacle ever to be witnessed in this hemisphere. Lungo the Gorilla Boy, captured in the wild.
Hi, boys. Fast, take sensational ride. Step right up, ladies and gentlemen. Ride the high boy. Only a dime. Fast, take sensational ride.
Carnival. Colorful, gaudy, fascinating if you're 5 or 50. You get initiated when you're a kid and you never forget it. The nostalgia of hot dogs and mustard, pleasant emotions kicked up when you smell the sawdust or see a little kid buy a stickful of cotton candy. And then you look up and see Rowena dancing on the small stage in front of the tent, doing just enough of her bit to entice the customers and not offend the sheriff. And suddenly you realize how fast you grew up. I purchased a ticket, making sure to flash all of the $100 retainer, and went inside. The tent filled in a hurry, the lights went down, and on came Rowena. She did her bit, the usual routine, and got off. I waited for the tent to empty and then went back to look for the beautiful dancer. There was another small tent in the rear of the big one, and as I approached, I could hear 2 girls talking.
Sure,
Rowena. Sure, I'll keep it for you.
Now, look, Dixie, I don't want anybody to know about it. Not anybody.
He's giving you trouble, huh?
Yes, he's been...
What's the matter?
Yes? Who is it?
Rowena?
Yeah? You, want to see me?
Mm-hmm.
I'll be going.
Oh, don't let me bust up anything.
That's okay. I gotta be going anyway.
This is Dixie Jones, Mr.
Diamond. How are you, Dixie?
Bushed. Well, nice meeting you, Mr. Diamond. I'll talk to you later, Rowena.
Cute.
Mm-hmm. Now, what can I do for you, Mr. Diamond?
I just saw the show. Good.
I'm glad you liked it. Is that why you stopped back?
Oh, I thought I'd like to meet you.
It's against the rules.
Whose rules?
The guy who runs the carny.
Not your rules?
Sometimes.
Not this time.
Well, I'll let you know as soon as I find out what's on your mind.
Well, that shouldn't be too difficult. I'm the type who likes to break rules.
Well, you're a little old for the usual schoolboy and too hep for a yokel. What do you do, Mr. Diamond?
Well, nothing obvious, but I make a few bucks, and occasionally I use the few bucks to buy a pretty girl a drink.
Just one drink, Mr. Diamond?
Score for Diamond. She was interested, and I made a mental bet with myself that she'd spotted my bankroll and not my blue eyes. She excused herself and did a quick change behind a screen in the corner of the tent. She came out dressed in mink and a black number that could have snarled up traffic on any quiet intersection. She took my arm, and we headed for the nearest pub. In this case, the Fallen Duck. A cozy little bistro that certainly seemed appropriately named. If a duck had wandered in, it would have taken a nosedive in a hurry. Man, boy, duck, or diamond, nothing could have stood for long.
It's a little crowded.
Oh, probably necessary. If all the people left at once, the walls would fall in.
Here's to what, Mr. Diamond?
Well, to you calling me Rick.
I'll drink to that. Rick.
Aren't you a little warm?
Mm-hmm.
But you'll suffer a little and keep the mink on.
It's a nice coat, isn't it?
Charming. You do all right. Diamond bracelet, the mink.
I could use another drink.
Oh, sure.
Without the water.
We sat, and I watched her kill a few more, and in between times, she moved. The pitch was subtle, and as practice as a lion trainer with a kitten. She worked hard, and I played along. It wasn't difficult. Rowena was quite a girl, and as far back as I can remember, I've liked girls, particularly the type you classify as quite a girl. About the time I was offering my fullest cooperation, we were interrupted.
Hey, there's Rowena.
Friends of yours?
It's Dave Sylvester and his wife. He owns the carny.
How are you, Rowena?
Fine. Hello, Paula.
Hello, Rowena.
This is Mr. Diamond and Mr. and Mrs. Sylvester.
Hi. Can I buy you two a drink?
Well, that would be...
No, thanks, Dave. We were just leaving. Come on, Rick.
Well, nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you, Mr. Diamond.
Yeah. Sorry you got to be going.
Good night, Dave. Paula.
Well, that answers that. Not friends.
I've known Dave for a long time, way before I joined the carny. What makes you think we're not friends?
Oh, just a casual observation. I got the idea when your hair stood straight up.
You better take me home.
And I took her home. Rowena didn't have much to say on the way. She was worried, and she'd dropped the pitch. We got back to the Carnival about 1 a.m. and walked down the deserted boardwalk toward her trailer. Up to that point, I'd made up my mind about several things concerning the lovely Rowena. First, she didn't figure to be in love with Adam Rayburn. Second, if she did have troubles, she hadn't given any indication until Dave Sylvester and his wife had shown up at the Fallen Duck. At her trailer, she stopped at the door and turned to face me. Oh, I could see it coming. The pitch was on again. But now she was being cautious, too.
Who are you, Rick?
Me? Oh, I'm just a guy. I told you, just a guy who wanted to buy you a drink.
Nothing else.
What else? Worried?
A little. Why pick on me?
Well, honey, you go on inside and take a look in the mirror. If you're a little objective about it, you'll get the idea.
Rick,
Yeah?
good night.
Well, good night.
Rick,
Yeah?
will I see you again?
Yeah.
Why did you do it? Why did you do it?
Wait a minute, Adam. Wait a minute.
Let me go.
Oh, take it easy. What's the matter with you? What do you want to slug me for?
Why did you kiss her? Why did you kiss her?
Oh, for Pete's sake.
I saw you. I saw you kiss her.
Well, you didn't see very well then. It was the other way around.
I didn't hire you to take her out and make love to her.
Oh, come on, Adam. Get hold.
I don't want to hear.
Oh. What's the matter?
That tent. It's on fire.
I turned and looked in the direction he was pointing his skinny arm. The small tent Rowena had used for a dressing room was on fire.
Fire! Fire!
Some others had already noticed it, and by the time we got there, the tent was completely engulfed in the roaring flames. Every one of the troop turned out in odd stages of undress and got a bucket line going, but the tent was past saving. The fire department arrived, put out the last of it, and then one of the troop, picking his way through the charred ruins, made a grisly discovery.
Hey, there's a body in here.
Before we continue with Richard Diamond, here are a few words about smoking enjoyment.
You know, smoking is a day-in, day-out pleasure. And it takes day-in, day-out smoking to tell you how rich-tasting and how mild a cigarette is as a steady smoke. One puff won't tell you. One sniff won't tell you.
Smoke only Camels for 30 days, and you'll see why more people smoke Camels than any other cigarette. You'll enjoy the first puff and every puff, for Camel's costly tobaccos are properly aged and expertly blended. No other cigarette has Camel's rich, full flavor, a flavor you'll never tire of.
And no other cigarette gives you this proof of mildness, proof based on steady smoking. In a coast-to-coast test of hundreds of people who smoked only Camels for 30 days, noted throat specialists reported not one single case of throat irritation due to smoking Camels.
Make your own Camel 30-day test and see for yourself why more people smoke Camels than any other cigarette.
How mild, how mild, how mild, how mild can a cigarette be? Take the Camel 30-day test and you'll see. Smoke Camels and see.
And now, back to Richard Diamond, Private Detective, starring Dick Powell.
1:30 in the morning, standing in the middle of what was left of a gutted sideshow tent. Standing with the members of the Sylvester Carnival troupe, looking down at the burned body of a girl. A case with a simple beginning, and then a fire and a girl dying in the fire. The crowd spread out as the fire department moved in to look for a cause, and Dave Sylvester, the owner, identified the body.
Dixie Jones. She slept in the tent. Poor little Dixie. Oh, hello, Mr. Diamond.
Hello, Mr. Sylvester.
It's a terrible thing.
Yeah.
Mr. Diamond?
I'll beat it, Adam. I'll talk to you later. No sense in letting people know we're acquainted.
All right.
All of a sudden I smelled smoke. See, I thought that I was dreaming or something.
Rick,
Oh, hello, Lorraine.
isn't it awful?
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Poor Dixie. Rick,
No?
will you walk me back to my trailer?
Sure. Cold?
Yes.
You act like you got a chill. You better take my coat.
No, it's all right. I'll be all right.
Well, good night, honey.
Rick,
Yeah?
I don't feel much like sleeping. Why don't you come in for a while?
What's the matter, dear? You act as if you're scared.
Of you?
Well, I don't know what it is, but you're scared of it.
That's ridiculous. Good night, Rick.
Mr. Diamond.
Well, now, don't start swinging again, Adam. I didn't even hold her hand.
I just left the fire. The fire department found out it wasn't an accident.
What?
I heard the chief say the fire was started deliberately. They called the police.
Well, Well, now the simple case with a fire and what looked like an accidental death had turned into murder. I asked Adam why anyone would want to kill Dixie, the chorus girl, but he couldn't even come up with a guess. I warned him again about keeping our relationship a secret and went out to the corner to wait for the police. In about 20 minutes, I spotted a prowl car with a familiar figure in the front seat.
Rick, what are you doing here?
Well, I stayed for the late show. Nice fire.
Just got a 211 report. Some girl in the fire.
Yeah. Name is Dixie Jones. Hey, Walt, look, nobody around here knows I'm a private cop.
You want it kept that way?
Yeah, for a while.
Okay, climb on the running board. We'll drive down.
We drove down to the scene of the fire, and I stayed in the car while Walt and Sylvester looked at the body of the dead chorus girl and talked with the fire chief. A couple of times I spotted Adam standing off to one side watching. And if he noticed me in the car, he did a good job of not showing it. Sometime later, Walt came back and we took a drive. I told him everything up to date, how Adam had hired me to find out what was troubling his lady love, how I'd gotten a big pitch from her obvious dislike for the Sylvesters, and everything leading up to and after the fire.
Well, that's sure not much.
I know it, Walt, but there's one thing sure. Rowena was scared stiff after the fire.
Sometimes fires do that.
No, it was something more, Walt. This dame lives high. Mink coats, jewelry that runs into a lot of carats. She has a real taste for anything that smells like that green stuff. I flashed a roll when I went in to see her show. She acted like a steady date when I went back to her dressing room. Rowena doesn't make enough money at this carny to buy all those things, Walt.
Well, I'm having the whole troop brought in for questioning. Maybe we'll uncover something. This client of yours.
Adam Rayburn?
Yeah. What does he know?
Oh, apparently not much. He's so in love with that dame he can't see anything else.
What does he do?
Well, he's advertised as the skinniest man in the world. He's nearly 8 feet tall, weighs a good 140. He thinks Rowena's in love with him.
Are you kidding? Rowena? A dame like that?
Yeah. Poor guy. Walt dropped me off at my apartment and I got some sleep. The next morning, I went down to the precinct and listened through an open line as Walt interrogated the entire troop of the Sylvester Carnival. It took all morning and most of the afternoon. Rowena answered her share of questions, and her voice was shaky and cautious. Adam answered his, admitting his association with me only after Walt informed him the fact was known. The last two questioned were Dave and Paula Sylvester.
I have no idea why anyone would want to start a fire.
How about wanting to kill Dixie?
I can't imagine.
How about you, Mrs. Sylvester?
No, Dixie was just a nice kid. Slept in the tent. I don't know why anyone would want to kill her.
Mr. Sylvester, how long have you known Rowena?
Just since she's been with the Carney. About 5 years, I guess.
First break. First hint of a cover-up. Dave Sylvester had said he'd only known Rowena since she'd been with the Carnival. I left the precinct thinking about the time I'd spent with Rowena and the Fallen Duck. She'd said she'd known Sylvester for a long time before she joined the Carnival. I grabbed a cab and went back to the Carnival grounds where I hung around until my client showed up. We found a quiet spot and talked.
No, she's never said much about Dave or Paula.
Oh. Well, how about the girl who was killed, Dixie?
Well, they were friends, that's all. Why, have you found out something?
How much money have you given her, Adam?
Oh, no, wait a minute.
How much?
Oh, not much.
How much does she make?
About $200 a week.
Then who's buying those minks?
Well, she is.
And the jewelry?
What do you mean? She told me she bought those things with money she'd saved.
Out of $200 a week?
Well, yes.
Well, then why ask you for more?
Because she needed it. I didn't ask her why. She likes nice things. We're in love, Mr. Diamond. A man doesn't ask...
Okay, Adam, okay. I lost myself for the rest of the afternoon in the newspaper files, looking up past history on David Sylvester, his wife, and Rowena. There was a story about David and Paula the day they got married, and enough about Rowena to give me a pretty fair background. She'd been in show business for a long time, from parents in the business. Never done much until she joined the Carnival, and then her fame spread far and wide. There were some publicity pictures that certainly showed why she had become a headliner.
She'd been married once to a man named Black who had disappeared 10 years ago, a small-time agent who had left her stranded in a hotel somewhere in Ohio. And according to the article, he was wanted by the police for a forgery rap and left her holding the sack. I looked some more, but I couldn't find anything about a divorce or that Black had ever been caught. At 7 o'clock, I let myself in Rowena's trailer. I sat down and waited for her. Hello, Rowena.
Rick. I'm glad to see you, Rick.
Oh? Well, I'm a private cop, honey. Still glad?
You're a...
Private cop. Yeah.
I don't understand.
Well, I think I do. Whatever happened to your husband, Rowena?
Oh, Rick.
Whatever happened to him? Name was Black. Left you stranded in Ohio with a forgery rap pinned on him. What happened to him?
Well, I don't know. He disappeared.
How do you manage to buy minks and diamond bracelets?
Rick, what is all this?
How come Sylvester hired you and shoved you right to the top when you didn't even have a reputation?
I don't like this, Rick. I don't think it's
I don't like it either. Now tell me about Dixie. Why was she killed?
I don't know. But, Rick, you don't think
It's the one thing I've got to tie up. Whoever set fire to that tent, did they think it was you in there?
Don't be ridiculous.
Well, see how ridiculous this sounds, honey. Dave Sylvester is your missing husband.
No.
He's paying you to keep your mouth shut.
Get out of here.
You don't care who you pick on, do you? If you can't blackmail a guy, you work him, like Adam Rayburn. Poor guy thinks you're in love with him.
Get out! Get out!
How much did you get? A couple of lousy dollars? Anything for a buck, huh?
If you don't get out of here, I'll have you thrown out.
I want to know why Dixie was killed. And, baby, you're going to tell me.
Rick, please.
Oh, it won't work, honey. Now, what was the connection?
Please.
Baby, if you know why she was killed, that makes you an accessory before the fact. I'm not very happy about you, honey, and I'd be more than willing to do my bit to see you get a few years.
Rick.
Now, you better tell me all about it. It'll be a lot easier.
All right. Dave Sylvester is my husband. His real name is Martin Black. You're right, I was blackmailing him.
Somebody fired 2 shots through the open window and nailed her twice. I caught her, she dropped, and I lowered her to the sawdust floor. I kept my arm around her because she couldn't do much more than look up and smile, a tired smile.
Thanks. Thanks for the lift.
Honey.
It's all right. Dixie was keeping the marriage license for me, so Dave wouldn't find it. I guess he did anyway. He must have killed her and set fire to the tent.
I'll get a doctor.
No. I gotta say something, Rick. No excuses. I took Adam. I took everybody. I was mixed up. I was going to take you, and something happened, I guess. Maybe I thought you might be the boy on the white horse.
Baby, look.
Telling the truth, Rick. A lady wouldn't lie at a time like this.
No, I guess she wouldn't. I put a pillow under her head and went out. The carnival had suddenly turned into a bad dream, a lot of noise and confusion. There was a killer loose, and I wanted to get him.
Look out, Diamond!
It was Adam Rayburn again, standing near a tent. David Sylvester had been waiting for me to come out. Sylvester jumped as Adam yelled and turned his gun on Adam. He caught Adam with the first one, and the big, thin guy toppled like an anemic sapling. I got my gun out, but Sylvester had disappeared in the darkness.
Go get him. I'm all right.
I circled the tent and spotted Sylvester running up the main drag. He turned and tried a quick shot. People started running when they got the idea, and I kept low, trying to stay in the clear. The place emptied faster than a ballpark in a thunderstorm, and Sylvester was caught on the empty walk. He turned for another shot, but I beat him to it. The slug knocked him sideways, and he staggered into a building, and I went in after him. It turned into the weirdest chase I'd ever gotten mixed up in. I found myself looking at a dozen Richard Diamonds and an equal number of Dave Sylvesters. I was faced by a room full of mirrors, and to top it off, a recorded laugh was playing over and over. a gimmick to show the public how much fun they could have inside. Oh, some fun. The dozen Sylvesters had all turned and taken a shot at the dozen diamonds, and the dozen diamonds suddenly became one less. It was a process of elimination. Sooner or later, one of us would stop hitting mirrors and get the real thing. I picked one of the Sylvesters, and we both went to work.
What lousy mirrors.
Yeah, you shot every diamond but the right one.
Turn me over, will you? Get my face out of this stuff.
Sure.
Don't mind dying, but I hate to watch myself doing it.
Dick Powell will return in just a minute.
Again, doctors in all branches of medicine have been asked this question.
What cigarette do you smoke, Doctor?
Again, the brand named most was Camel. Yes, according to this repeated nationwide survey, more doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette.
Baseball is getting underway, and it's interesting to note that Camels are the favorite cigarette of many baseball players. Bob Lemon, Vic Raschi, Howard Paulette, Dick Sisler are a few of the stars who choose Camels for their rich flavor, cool mildness. Try Camels yourself.
How mild, how mild, how mild, how mild can a cigarette be? Take the Camel 30-day test, and you'll see. Smoke Camels and see.
Here's Dick Powell with a special message.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the makers of Camels are sending gift cigarettes to our wounded and disabled servicemen. These cigarettes are forwarded to and distributed by the Military Air Transport Service, United States Air Force, which evacuates virtually all overseas wounded personnel. Gift Camels are also on the way to Veterans Hospitals, Fort Meade, South Dakota, and Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. U.S. Army Station Hospital, Camp Campbell, Kentucky. U.S. Naval Hospital, Beaufort, South Carolina. Now, until next week, enjoy Camels. I always do.
Dick Powell can now be seen starring in RKO's Cry Danger. Tonight's adventure of Richard Diamond is written by Blake Edwards with music by Frank Worth. Our director is Helen Mack. Featured in the cast were Arthur Q. Bryan, Michael Ann Barrett, Sandra Gould, Sheldon Leonard, Paul Duboff, and Bob Bruce.
Men, for pipe pleasure, get the National Joy Smoke, Prince Albert. PA has a rich flavor and wonderful natural fragrance. It's crimp cut for cool, smooth smoking, and specially treated to ensure against tongue bite. You'll enjoy Prince Albert, America's largest selling smoking tobacco.
Listen next week for another exciting transcribed adventure of Richard Diamond starring Dick Powell. This is Your FBI. The official broadcast from the files of the FBI follows immediately. Stay tuned. This program came to you from Hollywood.
This I believe. Thomas J. Corcoran is the mayor of Syracuse, New York. He started out as a printer's devil on the Syracuse Herald and worked his way up in this trade until he became president of the Typographical Union No. 55 and of the Syracuse Federation of Labor. Later, he started his own printing business, which 3 of his 7 sons are looking after while he serves as mayor. This is what Mayor Tom Corcoran believes.
Let's call a spade. That statement is the very essence of simplicity, yet it may be construed as a vital tenet if one looks at life the way I do. Indeed, it just about sums up what I believe in, for it bespeaks the importance of being honest, not only with the world at large, but also with oneself. Furthermore, it implies the need of facing up to facts, even when they are distasteful, of looking at the truth squarely, no matter how difficult this is to do, and of taking the attitude which leads one to do the right rather than the popular or politic thing. I've always believed in calling a spade a spade. I've always believed in taking what I felt was the honest and proper course, but it was not until I was elected mayor of Syracuse that I found my philosophy really put to the test. In the early days of my administration, I ascertained that our city should reinstate a sales tax, which had been abolished, if it was to remain financially progressive. It was not altogether impossible to get along without the tax. We could do this by eliminating vital services and cutting out new programs and projects. But if we were to move forward to keep our city advancing in the best traditions of progress, then we must have the tax. When I indicated that the tax should be authorized, I found myself a stormy petrel in a sea of antagonism and criticism. To heap vituperative comment at the mayor seemed the popular thing to do. Administration critics had not one but a whole series of field days. The temptation to waver was strong, and then an unofficial poll seemed to provide me with a way out of my difficulties. Since few people will ever vote for a tax of any kind, the poll indicated strong public opposition to the sales levy. Now I could gracefully retreat from my stand and put an end to further criticism by simply claiming that I had a popular mandate to follow. And yet in my heart, I knew that my city would suffer without the tax. I knew in the long run, perhaps not until after my administration, the effects would be damaging. Thus, in the final analysis, I decided to follow my old policy of calling a spade a spade. True, I was castigated again, but in time the tax was approved, and before long there were developments which vindicated my stand. Being human, that vindication meant a great deal to me, and yet, had it not been forthcoming, I would not have cared too much, for I could always enjoy the great comfort of knowing that I had kept faith with the truth as I saw it. When all is said and done, I believe that a man should follow the dictates of his conscience, irrespective of the consequences involved. Faced with an issue or a problem, he must make his decision with intellectual honesty and spiritual conviction. This means that invariably he has to disregard the shallow benefits to be derived from playing to the grandstand. Time and again I have been tempted to conclude that the only reward to be gained from pursuing my philosophy of life is a veritable fusillade of criticism, but in the long run nothing can compare with the genuine satisfaction of being able to live with oneself, because one has called his shots as he saw them, and has acted accordingly, let chips fall where they may.
They're the creed of Mayor Thomas J. Corcoran of Syracuse, New York. He conducts a weekly television program in which he talks personally and informally to the people of his city.
Mr. District Attorney, starring David Bryan. Mr. District Attorney, champion of the people, defender of truth, guardian of our fundamental rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
And it shall be my duty as district attorney not only to prosecute to the limit of the law all persons accused of crimes perpetrated within this county, but to defend with equal vigor the rights and privileges of all its citizens. This is David Bryan. In a moment, we'll bring you another case from the files of Mr. District Attorney. But first, a word from our sponsor.
And now, here is our star, David Bryan, as Paul Garrett, Mr. District Attorney.
A district attorney's dream is to find an eyewitness to the commission of a crime. But sometimes the dream can turn out to be a nightmare that helps the criminal instead of exposing him. This case started on a Friday morning, just a few minutes before 9 a.m.
All right, Carney, let's go over it once more.
We've been over it 20 times, Fallon.
Let's get it done.
I ain't taking a chance on you making any mistakes.
I ain't making no mistakes. Think I want to go back to that pen again? Look, I've been casing this place ever since I got out.
You sure there's no guard?
Guard. In a check cashing joint, nobody but the two tellers and the crummy alarm system.
If either of them moves for an alarm, start blasting.
All right. Hey, how are we going to hide out afterwards?
You leave that to me. Been working on a railroad section gang, laying new tracks. It's 30 miles out of town, and they're short-handed. If I can get the gang boss to take you on.
Hey, that's good, fella.
Yeah. Nobody's going to expect to find two guys with 15 grand driving spikes on a railroad.
Hey, my car is pulling away now, fella.
Good. Now, the boys inside will have enough money to cash your check. Park right in front of the place and leave it running.
Right.
Keep me covered while I cash the check.
Yeah. Bet they never cashed a check like that one before.
Shut up. I'd like to cash this. Just read it, mister, and do like it says. Don't even open your mouth.
And don't stare at us. You heard him.
You got 5 seconds, mister. Put the money in the...
Hey, he stepped on the alarm.
That's the last thing you'll ever step on.
Get out of here! We'll drop anybody who gets in the way.
Come on, Carney, get in.
Crowd's gathering already.
They won't hurt us any.
Look out! Car's coming out of that side street.
Let him look out.
You're going to hit.
Carney! I'm bleeding. Gotta get out, gotta get away.
Hey, driver, the coupe is alive. You better sit there until an ambulance comes, mister. Your head's cut mighty bad.
Get away from me.
Well, get back, everybody. He's got a gun. Get back. You won't run far.
Hello, Chief.
Hello, Harrington. Looks pretty bad.
Yeah.
Which one was the bandit car?
The coupe.
Who was in the sedan?
Man and a 5-year-old boy. Both killed.
They take the bodies to General Hospital?
Yeah. Oh, one of the stick-up men was killed, too.
Any trace of the other one?
No. I've got squads doing a house-to-house on the whole area, though.
Who's the registered owner of the coupe?
Don't know yet. It's being checked. Probably stolen.
Yeah, probably. Let's have a look at it. Blood on both seats. Steering wheel, too. The driver must have gotten a cut on his head or his hand.
He had a gash in his scalp.
Uh-huh. Hit the windshield on this side. A couple of hairs stuck to the jagged edge. Dark brown. Something with the lab to work on.
The corner druggist had a good look at him. Saw the whole thing from the store. Ran out to help. Almost got shot for his trouble.
Is he around?
Yeah, right over there. Oh, Mr. Reba. District Attorney wants to talk to you. All right, let him through, man. Let him through.
Well, too bad there weren't this many police around when this happened.
Well, it's a big city, Mr. Rebar. They do their best. Well, maybe you'd like to help.
I'm sorry, Mr. Garrett. Child that got killed used to stop in the store. Father'd give him a penny for bubble gum.
I understand how you feel. Harrington tells me you saw the driver of the coupe.
As close as I'm seeing you.
Oh, excuse me, Chief. That sounds like the shortwave on my car radio.
Go ahead. Can you give me a description of the man you saw, Mr. Rebar?
6 feet tall, maybe. Built solid, dressed like a laborer.
Go ahead.
Of course, that could fit 1,000 men, but this one had a couple of gold teeth right in the middle of his mouth.
Gold teeth, huh? Well, that's very interesting. Anything else?
Nothing outstanding, except for a bad cut on his head.
Over and out.
I told your assistant the whole thing.
Was the cut bad enough to need stitching?
Oh, we'll have to see a doctor.
Well, that was a report on the coupe, Chief. It was stolen on the west side during the night or early this morning.
Well, when was it reported? Before or after this happened?
Well, just about the same time, Chief, but the owner is home. He's been there since last night. His story checks out.
Oh, we'd better get down to the General Hospital. Well, thanks, Mr. Reba. We may be calling upon you again for an identification.
You can get me at the store anytime.
We'll go in my car. We'll leave yours here. One of the men can drive it in.
Okay. The lab boys are on their way out to cart the wrecks in, go over them for fingerprints. Not that we can expect much. prints on the cars are pretty smeared.
Yes, and even if we do get a clear set, we've still got to find the man who can match them.
This body is a dead hold-up, man. Lift the sheet if you want.
Any identification on him yet?
His prints have been taken. They might lead to something. The medical examiner's report has his blood type and other data.
I'd rather have the blood type of the man who got away. You instruct the lab to bring in pieces of the windshield where he cut himself?
Yeah. They'll call us on it.
Doctor say anything about the teller they shot during the holdup?
Yeah, he's still alive, but in a coma. He's up on the 3rd floor. You want to go up?
We might as well while we're waiting for the reports.
The doc doesn't think he's going to live.
Well, he may come around long enough to tell us something.
Look, Chief, before we go up, you want to see the man and the child who were in the sedan? They're right in the next room on their way to the elevator.
All right. Not that they can help us much.
That's the child's mother. Saw at the accident. Happened only a block from their home.
Did you come to see my boy and my husband? Did you know them?
No.
Maybe you ought to go home for a while, ma'am.
Why should I go home? There's nobody there now. He wanted his daddy to be the one to take him to school. He was just being registered. His first day. 5 years old.
You must try not to think about it.
Nothing we can do to help her, Chief.
I know. Better leave her until she cries herself out.
Guy that's responsible for that ought to...
I know.
The elevators are over here. Car coming down now.
All right. Meet him in the first room there.
Here's the doc now. We're just coming up to see you, Doc.
I'm afraid you're too late, Harrington. Mr. Garrett.
Was that the cashier?
Yes, he just died. If you want to come back with me, your lab is bringing in some glass fragments for blood analysis.
Yes. Did he say anything before he died, Doctor?
Just a few words. The man who shot him had gold teeth. Sorry to keep you so long, Mr. Garrett, but it isn't as easy to get a type when the blood is dried.
We understand.
It'll only take a second to make a comparison under the microscope now. Did you kill that overhead light for me, Harrington?
No, sure thing, Doc.
I'll get the focus now. Yeah, that does it all right.
You got it?
Mm-hmm. The man you're looking for is an AB type.
That common?
No, pretty rare, as a matter of fact. About 1 in... Oh, excuse me. Hello, Dr. Swift speaking.
This is Mr. Garrett's office, Doctor. Is he there?
Yes, just a minute. For you, Mr. Garrett, your office.
Well, thanks. Yes, Miss Miller?
Mr. Garrett, some reports just came in from the lab, the fingerprint crew.
Now, what is it?
The dead bandit has been identified as John Carney, a known criminal. Served time in several states for armed robbery. No known associates since leaving the penitentiary 3 months ago.
No, that doesn't help us. What about the prints on the car? Anything?
All the clear prints belong to the owner of the car, with one exception.
Well, what was that?
A full right thumb impression on the cap of the gas tank.
Has it been checked on?
Yes, sir. We had nothing in the criminal file, so we ran it through to Washington by wire photo. We just got the answer. An identification through Army records. A man named Robert Trommer.
Robert Trommer. Any location?
He owns the Midtown service station on Center Street. Do you want to pick up on him?
No. Harrington and I will handle it right away. Thanks.
What is it, Chief?
Looks like we're not going to need that analysis after all, Doctor.
Oh.
I think we found our man.
Good. Where?
Runs a gas station. Come on, Harrington. Let's pick him up.
Be with you fellas in a second.
We'll wait.
Gotta get this grease off my hands. Just finished the lube job. We're not worried about your hands as long as we can see them. Hey, what's the idea? What are you frisking me for? Looking for a gun that made a hole in a fellow.
Turn around so we can get a better look at you.
You mind if I dry my hands?
Go ahead.
Where were you this morning at 9 o'clock? I was right here working. Why?
You sure you weren't near the Apex check cashing service at 3rd and Grand on the south side?
Of course I was.
Step over this way. Under the light.
Are you going to tell me what this is all about?
Let's see you smile.
What? You heard him. Smile. Just smile, mister, that's all.
So you were here at 9 o'clock, huh?
I told you.
Those gold teeth say you weren't.
What kind of a cashier you shot is dead, Trauma. So is a 5-year-old boy and his father and your partner, John Carney. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Don't you? Maybe the cut on your head will make you remember.
Cut on my head?
The cut you got when the cars crashed. Take that grease cap off. Let's have a look at it.
Sure, mister. I'll let you look. Well, my cap's off. You see any cut? Either of you?
No. No, Trauma, we don't.
Jeepers. The druggist Reba said he had a deep gash. I don't know what you're looking for, mister. But if the guy has a gash in his scalp, just look again. 'Cause it ain't me.
This is David Bryan. Before we continue with Mr. District Attorney in the case of the man with gold teeth, here is an important message from our sponsor.
And now back to David Bryan, starring as Paul Garrett, Mr. District Attorney.
3 innocent people had been killed in a hold-up attempt and getaway. One of the bandits was dead, but the other was still at large. Eyewitnesses swore that the man we sought had gold teeth and a gash on his scalp. We found a man with gold teeth, but there was no mark of an accident on him. Harrington and I took him to the doctor's office at General Hospital.
What's he going to do with that needle?
Just take your blood type, unless you object. That's your legal right.
Why should I object? I haven't done anything.
All right, let me have your hand. Just going to prick your finger a little.
Go ahead. Ouch!
How long will it take, Doctor?
Just a few seconds with a fresh specimen. Give you an answer as soon as the smear's ready.
The blood type we're checking you for is a pretty rare one, Frommer. AB.
I told you before, my blood is type O. I know from giving it to the Red Cross.
And if that's true, it eliminates part of your worries. But my assistant is bringing a druggist named Rebar over here. Rebar saw the killer close up.
He didn't see me.
Got it?
Yes, Doctor.
And it is.
Type AB?
No. Typo, like you said.
I told you, didn't I? I never lie.
Come in.
Oh, Chief, I got Rebar out here.
How about it, Frommer?
Bring him in. I've got nothing to hide.
Okay, Harrington.
All right, come on in, Mr. Rebar.
Hello, Mr. Garrett.
Mr. Rebar, I'd like you to take a look at this man. Take a good look. And then tell me if you've ever seen him before. How about it, Mr. Rebar?
Mr. Garrett, I'm not sure. After all, the man that got out of the car had a gun in his hand and blood all over his face. All I remember for sure is the gold teeth.
I don't want you to identify him unless you're certain, beyond the shadow of a doubt. Now, can you make a positive identification?
No, sir, I can't.
All right, Mr. Rebar. Thank you. You can go.
I'm sorry.
Don't be. You've done the right thing.
Well, my blood's the wrong type. I got no cut, and he couldn't identify me. How about letting me go now?
There's still the matter of a fingerprint that is yours, Trommer. I want you to come one more place with us. Voluntarily.
Where?
Police garage. The wrecks have been towed in there. I want you to see them. Will you come?
You're not trying to pin this on me, are you?
What do you think?
I'm with you. Let's go.
Recognize this car, Trummer?
Well, I see a dozen black coupes like this every day. You've seen this one, all right.
Your thumbprint proves that.
What?
Right here in the dusting powder on the tank cap.
So I gassed this car at my station, maybe. That's how I make... Hey, wait a minute. Let me see that cap.
Don't touch it now. I'll handle it.
Well, Trummer?
I saw a tank cap like that this morning.
You sure?
Well, yeah, big guy in a black coupe. Could have been this car. Maybe I should have known there was something fishy about that guy, though.
Why?
Because he didn't have any money to pay for the gas. Didn't tell me until I filled her up, either. She was almost bone dry.
You mean you let him waltz off without paying you?
Well, what could I do? Siphon it out? I made him leave something for security, though.
What?
Well, a hunting knife and sheath he had on his belt. Worth maybe $8 or $9 new.
Did he come back to redeem it?
No. I got it locked in my tool chest back at the station.
We ought to have a look at it, Chief.
We will, as soon as I call the office.
District Attorney's office.
Garrett, Miss Miller. Anything come in on that scalp wound yet?
No, sir. We're still checking doctors. The whole telephone and radio division's on it.
That cut was deep. It'll need treatment sooner or later. Ask other counties to cooperate. Spread the search.
Yes, sir.
I'll be at Trommer's, the Midtown Service Station.
Yes, sir.
Let's go. Would you know that man if you saw him again, Trommer?
Well, one customer's face looks like another, but I'd remember him.
You have gold teeth like you?
Well, that's something I can't tell you. He was chewing a cut of tobacco, talking through it.
Tobacco, huh? Not many men chew tobacco anymore. Unless
what, Chief?
Unless they're doing a kind of work that keeps their hands too busy for smoking.
Well, here it is, the knife. Just like he left it.
Fresh honed and clean as a whistle, Chief. Now, why would anybody be carrying a hunting knife in the city?
More likely to be somebody who worked outdoors, away from town. Let me see that sheath.
Yeah.
Now look at this.
Hey, initials burned in the leather. B.F.
Too bad he didn't burn in the full name.
Midtown Service. Oh, yeah, hold on. It's for you, Mr. Garrett. Your office.
Hello, Miss Miller.
Oh, Mr. Garrett, we just got a report. It doesn't seem to be anything, but I thought I'd better call you.
What is it?
A man answering the general description of the one you're looking for had 12 stitches taken in his scalp plate this afternoon.
Where?
Colderville, about 30 miles upstate.
Did you speak to the doctor?
Yes, sir. Colderville Hospital emergency room, but he said it was a compensation case.
What kind of a compensation case?
He said the patient was a workman for the railroad section gang repairing track up in that area.
Well, how'd he get hurt?
Driving spikes. He said one flew up and hit him.
But the man answers our general description.
Yes, sir, except for one thing.
What?
The doctor said he didn't have gold teeth.
I see. Well...
I thought I'd better call you anyhow.
Thanks. Keep working on it.
I will. Bye.
Goodbye. Oh, Miss Miller.
Yes?
Did the doctor give you the man's name?
Yes, sir. It was Fallon. Bud Fallon.
Just a minute. Give me that knife sheath, Harrington.
There you are.
Thanks. Miss Miller, you did say Bud Fallon, didn't you? B as in boy, F as in flag?
That's right, Mr. Garrett.
And I think we've got our man.
But his teeth aren't gold.
I've got an idea about that, too. Listen, here's what I want you to do. Harrington and I are leaving for Coderville immediately. I want you to call that doctor back.
Yes, sir.
Tell him to dig out the swabs he used in treating that wound on Fallon's scalp. If he can find the right ones, I want a blood analysis made. We'll pick it up when we get there.
Yes, sir. Right away.
Goodbye. Thanks, Trummer. Come on, Harrington.
Is the guy we want in Calderville, Chief?
In it or near it. He's working on a railroad section gang.
That fits what you said about the knife. Guy working outdoors.
Chewing tobacco, too. Man with a sledgehammer in his hands doesn't have much time for smoking.
But what about the gold teeth?
He hasn't got gold teeth. Never did have. It was a disguise he dreamed up when he stopped at Trummer's for gas. Trummer's teeth caught his attention and gave him an idea. Mighty good one, too. It almost saved his neck.
But how? How did he do it?
That's the one thing we've got to find out.
It'll be dark when we get to Coderville.
Not as dark as Fallon would like it to be.
They're the railroad work cars now.
Oh.
Section boss said Fallon bunks in the next to the last one. It's dark.
The caboose isn't. Probably use it for a recreation car. Card games, things like that.
Anyone try there first?
No. Too many men in there. Somebody might get hurt. We'll wait in his bunk car.
Yeah, it should be this one.
Yeah.
Watch out. Big step up.
Yeah, I see it. Got your flashlight?
Yeah.
Let's have a look around.
Yeah. Sleeps about a dozen. I wonder which bunker's Fallon's.
I don't know. Here. Throw the light over here.
What?
Here on the bunk post.
B.F. Likes to put his initials on everything, don't he?
Now, this must be his footlocker.
Yeah, it ain't locked.
No.
Gun in there?
No, he'll have it on him. Look at this, though.
What are they?
A couple of plugs of chewing tobacco.
Wrapped in gold foil.
Sure. He tore off a piece of this gold foil after he saw trauma. Put it over his front teeth like this.
No wonder we got a description the way we did.
One thing he couldn't change was the AB type of blood, though.
Well, what do we do now?
Just sit and wait.
That's enough for me tonight. Deal me out. I don't know what I ever did to deserve such lousy luck. Who's that back of my bunk? That you, Jake? Dominic?
Don't go, Fallon.
Who is it?
Who are you expecting?
We want to talk to you about a check you tried to cash this morning.
You're under arrest, Fallon.
Look out, Chief! Oh, my arm! Get the gun, son.
I've got it. Is this the same gun you used to kill the cashier, Fallon?
I never killed anybody.
Ballistics will tell us if you don't, mister.
You'll never get anybody to identify me.
We will when they see you with a piece of this gold foil over your teeth.
I don't have to say anything till I see a lawyer. My arm. I'm bleeding. You got to get me to a doctor, quick. I already lost a lot of blood from my head.
Don't worry about it, Fallon. You'll be getting a transfusion in no time. It won't take long. We already know your blood type. Come on, Harrington. Let's carry him out. This is David Bryan. I hope you enjoyed this case from the files of Mr. District Attorney. I'll be back in just a moment after this message from our sponsor.
Now, here is the star of Mr. District Attorney, David Bryan, with a word about the program you have just heard.
Bud Fallon was convicted of murder in the second degree and 3 counts of involuntary manslaughter. He was sentenced to life imprisonment. However, he was killed in a fight when he attacked another prisoner with a knife. Now, this is David Bryan inviting you to join us when we present our next case based on the facts of crime from the file of Mr. District Attorney.
Mr. District Attorney was originated by Phillips H. Lord.